one's the best crypto asset? Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Which one's the best crypto asset? Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Which one's the best? 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 What's the second best?
This is Discover Crypto. I'm your host, DZ. Smash the like buttons, everybody. We have a major show today. We have to talk about BlackRock dumping all of their Bitcoin. And what does that mean for the price moving forward? Are we going to see Bitcoin reach the $70,000 mark, $74,000 mark? We're going to talk about those levels. We have some trades open as we speak, and we have some major news from the regulation side, as well as what altcoin will I buy next? I'm going to have chat get involved, and you can actually choose my destiny when it comes to a altcoin portfolio, at least on one of the exchanges. And I'm joined here by TJ. TJ, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you doing today?
Doing good, man. GM to J Chains, one of the fighting extraordinaires out there. Takes a lot of guts to get in that ring, and he got in the octagon. You cannot stop him. Now, speaking of cannot stop, won't stop, can't stop, this is a good analogy for the state of the market. Nuke it. Now pump it. Now nuke it again. Now pump it again. Now add 1,000% tariffs on China and Russia. Now shut down the government. Pump it again, everybody. And I had a comment with that right there, TJ. It seemed fitting. It seemed fitting.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I like that.
Have you seen Truman Show?
Of course. Yeah, it's great. That's
great.
a great meme. And it's fun. Drew and I were talking about that today. There's a lot of good ones of those circling around right now. So yeah, I like it with Trump on there. You could also put Fink or CZ on there these days, it seems like. But
there's a handful. At this point, you could put Barron Trump on there, and I wouldn't be surprised. Although Barron Trump would probably be a better Jim Carrey in that role. All right, let's talk about crypto. Cap, we're going to look at everything here. Where is Bitcoin? Where is ETH? Where are your favorite altcoins? Chances are they're in the red, everybody. We have Bitcoin down 2%, ETH down 3%. We're starting to see a little bit of a peel back. You can tell by the last hour. Pulling back on most coins, except for Doge and ADA. Showing a little bit of strength here, at least recently. White Bitcoin also as well. Zcash continuing to pump 630. We might look at some chart for Zcash there. I know at least some of you have some exposure. We're going to look at the biggest gainers and losers. Starknet, Zcash, Pi, Crow, a couple of the usual suspects that you normally see. Gold also, doing fairly well, at least in this downturn. And then on the big losers, Canton, Uniswap, Monero, and ICP. Out of these four coins, TJ, what do you think the Disco fam is more likely to hold out of the top or the biggest losers out of these four?
Out of those four, we've been talking about the Canton network recently. Uniswap has been getting a lot of FUD. I feel like they're putting it through a new proposal, and I know there's people in the chat doing ICP, so I don't know. It could be pretty split.
I would probably guess, just because Canton is so new, not everybody has the exposure just yet. I think a lot of people probably sold their Uniswap. Monero, a little difficult to purchase. I would guess ICP. Chat, let us know if you hold some ICP. If I see enough ICPs in the chat, I'll go ahead. I'll do a little TA on ICP. I did see something when I was doing some research, folks. Let's look at Bitcoin. Look at those 5-minute candles. A lot of bearishness in the short term here. But if we look, we do have a little bit of a trend line forming on the bottoms here. Might see a little bit lower before we see some, I don't want to say significant support, but before Bitcoin sees a little bit of support here. We go to the 1 hour and check on the RSI. We're starting to see a little bit of strength here, a little bit of movement. You can see the relative strength index heading a slightly higher. We go to the daily. Bitcoin still trying to get above this long-term resistance, or I'm sorry, support. Now it's resistant, acted as support for years. And now we have kind of a new line in the sand when it comes to Bitcoin. So Bitcoin needs to get back up to 94K and then hold this, maybe bounce 1 or 2 times as support, and then springboard from there. Then I'll start to feel a little bit better in the markets here. Being ICUP, ICPoo, a lot of ICP. Some saying hell no. But we are seeing a little ICP. Should I do ICP chart, TJ?
Sure.
Show the people what I found. All right. Well,
I was going to mention, I lost it now, but somebody was saying, it just doesn't look strong on Bitcoin. And that's kind of what we were saying earlier this week. Like there's signs of life, but there's a lot of weakness there. We all actually, many of us here are in a short right now. Our new quant signal caller just put something in the Discord this morning. So a lot of us are actually not, my favorite project. I love it. I'm accumulating it, but am in an Aave short right now. Love Aave. I think it's going to do extremely well long term, but you kind of have to separate your long term investments from your short term trading stuff. And being short as of this morning, probably not a bad idea.
So. No, you're just employing a sophisticated hedging strategy, TJ.
That's right.
Like a Paul Pelosi, if you will. All right. Well, this is ICP's chart, everybody. And I did see a lot of bearishness about a week ago. I'm looking at this candle right here. Some of you in the chat are going to know what candle this is, what kind of candle body this is. This is what you would call a bearish engulfing pattern. Now, some will say the candle must hit the green wick. Some will say that it doesn't. But what the more important part is, you must entirely engulf the previous candle body and then some. And so this is what they call an engulfing pattern. Not talking about the Gulf of America, almost like Gulf of Mexico there. But you can see the bearish engulfing pattern right here. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 days later, TJ, you got a bullish engulfing pattern. So now maybe the bulls are going to be back in control. And starting to see a little bit of strength when you go to the 4 hour. And maybe ICP can turn it around from here. I would not be surprised to see ICP bounce. And I am farming a little bit of points on EdgeX, and I'm shorting Aave. I'm in the profit, and I'm longing ICP, and we're in the profit. And again, just doing a little point farm in there, so nothing major.
Yeah.
No major.
Real quick, let's look at that. I mean, if people go back to EdgeX real quick. If people aren't familiar with EdgeX, it's somewhat. I mean, I don't want to necessarily. It's very similar to Hyperliquid in a lot of ways. It's an up and coming perpetuals platform, all on chain, very clean. Something we've been messing with for a while. I think when we pulled up the revenue, it was one of the top protocols for revenue that you got it on DeFi Llama. Yeah, perfect. Let's pull that up, because this is if you guys are active traders, there's always new perps platforms out there. We like to test and mess with a lot of them. Yeah, number 4, look at that, right behind Hyperliquid.
But no token as of yet.
Yeah,
but I'm hearing things.
Yeah, that's the key phrase, is yet. And it like I said, it's very clean. It works extremely well. There is a point system in there, and that's what DZ has referenced a couple different times, farming it for some points, because when the Hyperliquid drop came out, it's Hyperliquid in a lot. Like, if you wonder why so many people are bullish on Hyperliquid, it's because it made a lot of people wealthy, much like NVIDIA did for a lot of their employees. So if you're an early user of EdgeX, I'm not saying it's going to be the same thing, but I think there's a big advantage to being on EdgeX early. Their revenue's growing, their volume's growing, they're performing extremely well. They obviously can afford to do buybacks. And again, it's clean. The order books are good. There's good liquidity.
I talked about this back in August or September. A very early video. And it was 10 altcoins, and 9 of them had a token, and the 10th protocol did not have a token. I was talking about EdgeX. So we were talking about this a long time ago. And I just saw other people that made a lot of money off of hype employing this strategy in anticipation. Now, again, no guarantee. I don't know. I don't have any inside information if there's going to be an airdrop, what it would look like, what the points are going to equate to. I have zero info on that. I'm just following what the smart traders are doing, and I'm kind of looking at hype as a potential roadmap.
And it's a great product, so it's worth testing. I meant to. We do have an affiliate. I don't even have it here right now. I meant to put it in the chat, but we'll do a follow-up video on this that gives you a little bit more details and kind of breaks it down later in the week, maybe next week. So just
all right. Well, there you go, folks. So check that out if you haven't already. Now let's look at the stories for today. We got to talk about BlackRock. BlackRock being accused of dumping the market, but I have a more nefarious strategy that I want to discuss that BlackRock employs that nobody is ever talking about. And that's going to be how they sell versus how they buy their Bitcoin. But let's first talk about the details here. So BlackRock deposited $500 million to Coinbase. This is a post from just a few hours ago. So this is only 3 hours ago. It's also deposited 200 million in ETH to Coinbase. More selling. And if you look at the screenshot from, I believe this is going to be CoinGlass, 6 minutes ago, 1 minute ago, 14 minutes ago, a lot of Bitcoin. So what this is, when you see the same amount and it's averaged out, this is called a TWAP strategy, time-weighted average price strategy. So they sell kind of like how MicroStrategy buys, a little bit at a time, And so why is that important? Well, if you look at the numbers, it's not all that unsettling that they put all this Bitcoin onto Coinbase. It's not the 300 Bitcoin. It's not how they do it, because they also had their clients not wanting the IBIT yesterday. They've had massive outflows. And if you look at how much they're depositing to Coinbase, there's a lot of correlation to the outflows for the ETF. So if on a Monday they sell 523 million in outflows, technically Tuesday. So on Tuesday, they get rid of 523 million. Maybe don't be so surprised when they deposit 575 million. So that makes a lot of sense. But why am I upset? What is the nefarious deed that I'm talking about? Well, it's how they sell versus how they buy. When they sell, time weighted average price, 300 Bitcoin like clockwork. Boom, 300, 300, 300, 300. So that's going to incrementally lower the price of Bitcoin. TJ, we're discussing this in this morning. They buy Bitcoin differently, though. So how do they buy their Bitcoin?
They buy Bitcoin over the counter, which you hear people talk about OTC. That's what that means, over the counter, meaning directly through brokers, through dealers, not on the open market, not on the order books. And that has a much lower, or you could say none. It's not really none, but very little price impact at all, because they're buying it from individuals. They're buying it from other people. So they buy OTC and then they sell on the open market, which affect, so when they buy, it doesn't push the price up. But when they sell,
the back alley deal, the guy opened his coat and says, "I have some rare things for sale, stranger."
Yes, that's right. And so when they buy, price doesn't go up, but then when they sell, the price is impacted to the downside. So it feels very much like an intentional manipulation to the downside. Like BlackRock is trying to manipulate the price down to get better prices, probably for their clients or themselves.
And the speculation is now BlackRock, Coinbase, I would say, definitely does not do this. They have very limited revenue streams, and so they kind of have to detail the revenue streams to the SEC. BlackRock, though, I have no idea, but 8,000 to 40,000, a million different revenue streams. There's a lot of different ways for BlackRock to make money. They have a lot of sophisticated hedging strategies. And so the speculation is that BlackRock probably net short when all of this is happening behind closed doors. So buying doesn't pump it, but selling does dump it. And there might be, maybe some nefarious deeds happening with BlackRock behind the scenes there. So
Aren't we so glad Wall Street's here?
Yeah, man, gotta love it, man. Gotta love it. We were begging for this, and now it's here. And you're like, oh, wait a minute. They're doing the same thing they've been doing for centuries?
Wow.
Who would have guessed it? Who would have guessed there? All right, now BlackRock leading with a $3 billion November ETF exodus with a record $500 million in outflows just today so far. And so we're seeing a fresh death cross. Fading Fed rate cut odds went from 90% to 50%. And now smart money shorts are weighing down on the crypto sentiment. And you probably feel like this person who, if you're on that water slide and you still have a martini or whatever the heck, braver than me. But anyways, closing in on $3 billion in net outflows for November is putting the ETF products on track for their worst month yet after the fund logged their biggest day of redemptions on record. So the latest outflows bring the total to almost $3 billion, already making it the second worst month for spot Bitcoin ETFs. Meanwhile, we still have about 11 days left in the month. BlackRock alone accounted for $2.1 billion of those outflows. So the whopping majority is BlackRock selling. Now, the ETF outflows have continued to mount despite investors expecting a month of upside for Bitcoin based on historical data. We always hear about November. November is going to be, hugely green. We see it every time. It's the best month for Bitcoin's returns. And if you look at the average, 41% rally during the month, according to CoinGlass. Now, there's going to be a large outlier, and that large outlier is November 2013. So, TJ, I was more concerned. What's the median? And if you look at the median's only 9%, but still green. So, 9% is kind of where you expect it to land in the middle. There's a couple outliers on the outside changing that data there. So, going back to the article, though, if you're looking at the ETH, also in the red. ETH had 74 million in outflows yesterday. But there is a bright spot, and that's you Solana holders. Solana actually had $26 million in inflows. So we are seeing a little bit of mixed bag when it comes to BlackRock, but very, very heavy net selling. And the net selling, is kind of acting as a sentiment drag for the rest of the crypto market. And so we do need to see BlackRock's clients turn this thing around. And then, maybe we start to see, hey, November is going to be green. All right, we got Luis Rincon. Big money, no pump Bitcoin, only dump. Then how pump? It's a good question. I don't know
Yeah,
if you have
we-
any theories before I jump in.
I would say it's not that cut and dry. I mean, we're talking about BlackRock specifically, but it is an actual thing that we're experiencing right now. A lot of the major purchases are OTC. That is a fact. A lot of the big, if you're going to buy a 50 million, Sailor buys OTC. All these big entities are buying OTC. Now, I don't think Sailor's dumping on the open market. And so I guess the way you pump is with time. It's going to require patience. There's a lot of reasons I think we're in a delayed cycle. I've even got Lynn Alden out here right now saying she believes we're in an extended cycle. Lynn Alden, a macroeconomist for a very long time, basically saying that as coins held for the wrong reasons are flushed out, the cycle could last longer than expected, driven not just by the halving, but by broader macro trends and growing interest in Bitcoin itself. And as that happens, we will see you work through the inventory of what's available OTC. We know a lot of the very, very early Bitcoin holders have been selling in this period and offloading to, and those are the ones that are doing these OTC deals. Those will run out at some point. So but it is an interesting time, of course, to be in crypto. And, this is not new, I guess is the other thing I would say. We are in a PvP market. People have always been buying OTC and selling on open market. People have always been trying to manipulate the price of Bitcoin. Now we're just dealing with the big dogs, the BlackRocks of the world, the Fidelities, the, State Street. All the big funds are trying to get exposure to digital assets, and they are incentivized and skilled in getting good entries. And also said as price manipulation or order book manipulation. That's what they do. And this is just the reality of the world you're in. When you're playing, if you want to open free market, you got to play open free market games, which means it's PvP, which means you need to be patient because what they're going to try to do is shake out the retail investor. So,
but it's not all doom and gloom when you look at the institutions. There's a lot of institutions expecting a recovery, expecting a V-shaped recovery, a sharp rebound. This is Standard Chartered. Standard Chartered just told the clients Bitcoin sell-off has likely run its course and that a year-end rally is still the base case despite the chaos. They said the correction has lasted long enough to match the past cycle drawdowns. Seller exhaustion signals like the MNAV collapsing are finally flashing, and leverage has been flushed. To the most part, liquidity is stabilizing and downside momentum is fading. It doesn't end with Standard Chartered. We also have Citibank saying the liquidity squeeze for Bitcoin is ending. Going forward, the liquidity squeeze should improve between now and year end. Very significant when you figure there's only 45 days left for the year, so they are also expecting a pretty sharp recovery. But it's not all bullish. We have Mike McGlone. I think Bitcoin could go back to 10K.
wow.
There was a comment that I like. One, look how angry this guy looks. He's like very, very pissed off. It's very get off my lawn energy.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
He still has lawn darts and he lets his grandchildren play with them. Where was the comment? I liked it. I hope. Mike, you're embarrassing the bald folks.
That's a good one. That's a good one. But yeah, I'm curious, chat, what do you guys think? Was this type of stuff inevitable? Is BlackRock being in Bitcoin and crypto good for crypto because it's an endorsement by the largest asset manager? Is it bad because they like to manipulate prices? Wall Street's here. No, unequivocally, they're here to stay. They're going to grow.
That guy's not going to manipulate your coin.
Yeah, of course not. No. Maybe if it would make him a nickel, he might. But
he used to shine shoes for a nickel. He does look like he was 97 years old. All right, let's talk about some of the price levels though, because I don't think it's going to be up only from here. We still have a lot of downside risk. There's still yet another CME gap to the downside. There's yet another level. There's we broke this, so that means we must go here. It happens a lot. So let's talk about some of these lower levels for Bitcoins, just to maybe have a nice little target if you have some dry powder on the sideline. Bitcoin charting a flag $75,000 bottom, but analysts are predicting a 40% rally before 2025 ends. And this is where we're going to go into some of these other predictions that are also bullish. So one of them, we lost this level, must go to the next one. One of them is the MVRV mean. Market value to realized value, just kind of looking at the price today versus the price that the Bitcoin last moved on the blockchain. So you compare those two prices. And so this mean band That's when I think of mean band, I think of Drew, the Druth right there. But he was in a mean band. But it puts $75,000 as the next major downside target. Bitcoin whales are accelerating their purchases as Wall Street analysts predict a 40% price rebound by the year's end. I kind of want to just run that math real quickly. What does a 40% rebound look like for Bitcoin? This is definitely going to be enough from here, from this level. 40%. You're looking at 127 brand new all-time high, eking in a new all-time high, everybody. Now, the most important line is the mean band, which is this yellow band, which acts as Bitcoin's fair value. So when it rates above, it means Bitcoin's healthy. When it's below, it means weakness often followed. Now, I blew up this picture so we can kind of analyze it a little bit more. If we look at just this bull run, we got rejected off orange, hit yellow, and then went a little above the red. Then we bounced hard off the yellow. We bounced hard off the yellow. Now we have lost the yellow. But we keep pointing to this area, and we keep pointing for a reason. This is June, July 2021. If you look at June, July 2021, we dip 1, 2, 3 times below, 3 times the lady, and then Bitcoin put on its nice nylons, and then we had a very, very bullish November. And so we have seen this in the past, dipping below the yellow, and we have seen recoveries in the past. But if you look at the bear market drawdown, even then we did shoot above it, but we failed to touch the orange, and then it was just a quick down side move to below the blue there. So just a little bit of reference for you. And if you look at March 2020, very, very, very horrendous for the price action there. So that's the MVRV mean band yellow, if you're wondering about that price metric.
Yeah, that's interesting. Can you zoom back in on that a little bit like you just were? I'm trying to see in almost every other point other than the 2021 one you mentioned, we broke the yellow aggressively, very quickly, very sharply, as far as I could see. You know, like see there, like straight through it. Like there was there was no question there. You know, the other one to the right of that, we dipped below for just a minute, but then quickly recovered, went back up. And then that one right there, straight through. And then it stayed below.
It was a little bit of an outlier. We kind of know. We won't say the word, but
yeah. Well, I just think it's just interesting. That's what's fascinating to me about this period is it does feel much more like that 2021 dip below than the 2019. When basically I'm trying to see when did it go into an extended bear market and how did it respect that yellow line? I guess you could say June 22 or no. Yeah. The first time we lost it, that was December. Yeah. Basically I'm looking at 2021, 2022, like right there. Yeah. We did. Yeah. We just fell through it. Once you go, we went almost down to the green, tried to recover, and then just couldn't really hold above it. And then, fell substantially. That's what you'll need to see. And that's part of what I've been talking about. Now we're getting close to that territory now. If we get to 70K in the next, month or two, we get into these low levels. It will end up looking like that. And then, that'll put us down into that green purple area. And it'll take some time to get back above the yellow, but I really do think 2026 is going to be the year in a lot of different ways. We got a lot of IPOs coming out. I know people don't like that. I know people don't like the extended cycle theory. Everybody was promised alt season and Q4 dreams, and we might rally some in December. I'm not ruling that out yet either. But if we continue to sharply decline in the rest of November and December, then it could take some time to recover. But there's for that liquidity to kick in. I still believe 2026 will be a good year. I do not normally, if you're following 4-year cycle theory, 2026 should be down only.
Oh, I know who's going to lead the charge for 2026. It's not Donald Trump. All right. It's not Elon Musk. It's not going to be Mark Zuckerberg. It's going to be New Hampshire. What? What's going on here? So New Hampshire approving first of its kind $100 million Bitcoin-backed municipal bond. This just happened. This is breaking news from this morning. And so they approved the issuance of this bond backed by Bitcoin. What appears to be the first structure of its kind at the U.S. state level. So minutes from the meeting earlier this week from the New Hampshire Business Finance Authority, otherwise known as BFA, the state's business financing agency, showed the board plan to consider approving a resolution authorizing up to $100 million in bonds for a project to acquire and hold digital currency. The following day, record that directors voted to approve the official intent with no reservation. And they're going to issue this revenue bond by, Wave Rose Depositor LLC, $100 million Bitcoin bond. So this is designed the bond to utilize Bitcoin as collateral under the same rules that govern municipal and corporate bonds. Wave co-founder said the goal is to bridge traditional fixed income with digital assets for institutional investors. How about that New Hampshire weather? Does that make you just want to run there?
No,
No, not at all. That is,
but it's beautiful in the fall.
Yeah, it looks great when the leaves are orange and red. Now it looks like a Charles Dickens despotic hellhole. But New Hampshire is diving headfirst into crypto. The news follows them becoming the first U.S. state to allow the government to invest in cryptocurrencies after the governor, Kelly Ayotte, signed a bill allowing the municipality to invest in cryptocurrency and precious metals. They skipped gold. They went straight to Bitcoin. And so New Hampshire lead the charge. Very, very good news out of New Hampshire. I do think they want to see the mechanisms and how they do it. They want to see, kind of the demand. And if the demand is there and it's a success, that's when you'll see a Nevada, a Florida, a Wyoming, a Texas, maybe name your fifth state there. But that's when you're going to start to see the dominoes fall. Georgia actually isn't a terrible suggestion. It could very well be Georgia.
It could. And New Hampshire, obviously, free state projects there. A lot of freedom activists, libertarian state in New Hampshire. So
interesting history if you go to the 18th century.
Very interesting.
But we won't talk about that. Let's talk about the TGA. Shedeur Sanders. I have no idea. That Bernie or something?
Schroeder Sanders. That's I think it's Schroeder Sanders he's talking about for NFL stuff.
Oh, see, I don't watch the foosball is what they call it. I don't watch the pigskin that much anymore. I used to be a huge Dallas Cowboys fan, and then Tony Romo pushed me away from loving sports.
I don't blame you. Kelly is a Dallas Cowboys fan. It's tough to be. It's almost as bad to be a Dallas Cowboys fan as it is to be Atlanta Falcons fan.
It was great when, before the crack cocaine, but when it was Michael Irvin, Emmitt Smith, Troy Aikman.
Oh, that was peak.
I was a huge Cowboys fan.
Yeah, of course. And I became a Falcons fan in 1998. We went to the Super Bowl, got thrashed by John Elway and the Broncos. And of course, it's like an iconic clip where he like dives for the end zone and gets spun around, and like it's played of like any NFL highlight. And it feels like all of other people's highlight reels are always against the Falcons. And we've lost in overtime back to back. It's brutal being an Atlanta sports fan. Actually, let us know. Do you guys do sports? Do you do sports ball? No sports ball? Try being a Jets fan. Yeah, that's probably the worst. Browns fan, Jets fan. That's brutal. What is your
Browns is pretty bad. It is pretty bad to be a Browns fan.
Yeah, Johnny Manziel.
Let's know what's your team there, and then maybe I'll roast them. Maybe I'll roast some of the. I used to watch SportsCenter every day. I was a big sports fan. All right, now we did get our first notable slide in the Treasury General account. This acts as the checking account for the U.S. government. We had a shutdown, and so money was coming in. People were still paying taxes, but no money was going out. Basically, mom cut the credit card in half. Well, we finally got the credit card back in the mail. I say credit card because they say checking account, but really it's a credit card balance because we're so deep in debt, tens of trillions in debt. But we finally started spinning out of the government's credit card account. Treasury cash went down $34 billion. To $925 billion, and they do have a target of $850. We might see $75 billion rolling into the markets, essentially help prop up your altcoin, not the other altcoins, but it is going to pump your altcoin. Now, we did a video on Raoul Pal saying it's the business cycle, stupid. It's always been the business cycle. ISM is a good bellwether for the business cycle, and now this manufacturing index is dipping below 50, saying the economy is contracting right now, 48.7. We're in the danger zone, but if it climbs back above 50, historically, Bitcoin has major pumps. Let's scroll down. Let's look right there. So you can see the ISM. We were looking at this earlier in the week with tech devs, business cycle indicators. So we keep seeing this, and we're starting to see it on more and more of the, it's shifting values for these indicators and shifting values. What's like the breakout point. Here they have it right at 50. This could potentially spell an extended cycle. And in fact, smart money, a lot of bankers, a lot of wealthy individuals are betting on an extended cycle because it's never been the 4-year cycle. It's always been the business cycle. Stupid is kind of the sentiment out there. And I'm starting to come around to that way of thinking, especially if you think about miners selling's impact on Bitcoin price. But now I'm kind of getting a little off the rails there. But this could be I don't know about this dubious target, $169,000 Bitcoin.
Hey, 169. That's a very Bitcoin related price, and we are actually actively dumping right now. We did just get a call in our Discord. A lot of our traders are short Ethereum right here at this level, so falling through. Yeah, we're falling right now. So
Losing that support that I pointed out, and I said, very dubious support, and it's yep, pretty dubious. So I would say the next level is going to be. We get my there we go. There we go.
We headed towards 88, but we didn't like clean get it. I feel like we could be at 88 very quickly. Is that where that is?
It bounces at 89200, but yeah, I mean, if it goes here, it could easily wick a little bit lower. And
yeah, go
our
to a longer
rectangles have been playing out well. I will say that.
Go to like a 1 hour. Yeah, I was gonna say 4, but
okay. So low liquidity area.
Yeah, and the volume picks back up in that like 87, 88K range. And then that is not a strong support there either. On the longer time frames you go, there's some support there, but it's getting dubious for sure. And I wouldn't surprise. Yeah, next stop's 80. Somebody says in the chat 78. Whatever it is. And we've got just to make everybody feel a little less comfortable, we got Trump coming out with a big talk here at noon. We are going to cover it. He's talking about investing and investments supposedly. So what is that?
Yeah, I mean, if it's going to hit this level, yeah, it's probably going to hit that level too.
Yeah, I can't.
This is just
85 to 88. Yeah,
this is the resistance that we saw during March.
Yeah, exactly. And again, and ultimately that fell, right? So I think we hold that for a little while, but that bottom of that trend line you've got right there, that 76, 78, 80 range, that's kind of where I'm looking to make my next purchase. I said that weeks ago. I was a buyer at 100. I was a buyer at 88, 89, and I'm a buyer at 78, 74. I don't think we're getting some of those really low targets that people are throwing out, below previous cycle all-time high, 69K, something like that. I think 69 could hit, but I'm seeing people throwing out, 45K, 50K. You had the official Bitcoin account come out the other day and tweet 45K, which again, that makes me think somebody's trying to manipulate things to the downside. Like that's not, that's just a random person that happened to sit on Bitcoin at very, very early.
It does look like that account was sold around 2020, and there is no clear indication who owns at Bitcoin on X.
Yeah, and then here's Crypto Crank. He's gonna, I think, be on a little bit later. We've got Drew and Kelly will follow us up and cover Trump's speech, and we're gonna have Crank on to do some more levels at that point. He's talking about 85K, then 90% BTC. I think he meant bottom is in, but we'll see.
All right, and we're still in the Aave short that we got in the Discord there. So both trades are in the green, and it's pretty good when you see a long and a short in green. And the reason I'm schlonging is point farming. We schlong for the farm, folks.
Schlong the farm. Hey. And if you guys want to get in our trading group, like I said, we've got very active calls going in there right now. The link is in the description. It's free to join. You just have to sign up with our affiliate link. And we can make money going up, going down, going sideways, going up with our spot bags or longing, going down, shorting, and sideways is the sweet zone. If you're in DeFi, keep it in that tight range, pump that volume in, and let's make those.
I'm going to bring up Dave Portnoy a little bit later. I think he deleted it. So we'll go.
Did he really?
We'll live look at his account. We'll have to check, folks. We're going to have to check. But first, let's talk about this fear and greed. New level. The level is 9. Lowest level since April 11th. Extreme fear and sentiment last seen at the April 2025 bottom. Yet S&P is down 4% from a record and up 37% from the April low. This is not what you see before a market crash. This is going to be not so much crypto, but overall, a lot of people are feeling quite bearish, quite fearful. And we're starting to see it despite assets heading up. Maybe because we're realizing the dollar is just all fugazi. Now, we talked about the TGA there. Now, this is very interesting as well. Scott Bessent grilling, let's just say, or demanding Jerome Powell and the Fed slash interest rates at the next meeting. Give me 1 second. I'll play this. Now, TJ, we're at 50-50 for a rate cut in December. What does your gut tell you?
Rate cut. It'll happen.
Gut's telling you rate cut.
Yep. Not made another 25 basis points. And then the other thing people need to remember, Powell's out next year. One of the potential replacements being talked about. I don't necessarily think this will happen, but people are talking about Bessent as his replacement as Fed chair. And if, something like that were to happen, either way, it's most likely going to be somebody who's on board with Trump's agenda. We are absolutely going to see rate cuts in 2026. No way. There's no way around it. Now, I do think we continue the trend in December. I do think we get another 25 basis point cut. I think Powell was posturing a lot when he was acting like, it's all he said is it's not guaranteed, which obviously he can come out and say. He kept saying it's not a foregone conclusion. It's not a foregone conclusion. It's not a foregone conclusion. Right.
So I'll say we need the Enron guy to take over the Fed. He's the guy that helped FTX's post-bankruptcy collapses. John J. Ray, which has the name that is closest to a professional wrestler in all of finance.
Also sounds like an assassin, doesn't he? John J. Ray,
Yeah, it does. Sounds like a Marvel assassin. Like he's a mutant, but you're not quite sure what his power is. All right, let's play this video. Only 36 seconds. Here we go.
We have an answer, do you think, from the Fed about another cut? Do you think
let's smash the likes for Brett Baer's helmet hair?
that's where they're going?
I hope it's where they're going, because when you're in uncertain times, and after what this Schumer shutdown did to the economy,
he's the Yao Ming meme.
If you're not taking out an insurance cut here, or if you're flying blind, they say, well, we don't have data. Well, if you don't have data, then that's what insurance is for. So I would encourage them. They've gone into a cycle, so let's go 1, 2, 3, and we can see from there.
All right, saying we can see. Go lower it. I would encourage them. They've gone into a cycle. 1, 2. Let's see more rate cuts. Let's not end at December. Let's get a third one. I love this. This is going to be great for your risk on assets. This will be great for Bitcoin, but will Powell do it? That is the bigger question.
Well, and remember, it's a vote. It's not just his singular decision. There's many people that vote on it, and I believe they will.
Board of Governors, yes, the Fed Board of Governors.
Right. And there's a lot of politics involved, which that's my big issue with the Fed is, a handful of people shouldn't have the power to kind of decide the world economy. But, they're going to keep the Fed rate will come down. They are printing a ton of money next year. So it's not a matter of if Bitcoin will recover to new all-time highs. It's a matter of when. And I think that's part of why I try to encourage you guys to zoom out and be a little bit more patient, because there's zero doubt in my mind we will see new all-time highs. Now, is that going to be December? Is that going to be March? Is that going to be June? Is that going to be middle to end of next year? I don't know for sure. And anybody who tells you they know for sure on a short-term basis what Bitcoin is going to do, they're just saying it to try to look confident, and they're hoping they're right.
And the long term, though, we know exactly what's going to happen. These are this is America's T-bills, Treasury bills. They're just borrowing and borrowing and borrowing and borrowing, which basically means printing and printing and printing.
Yeah,
and printing.
There's no, the joke, the phrase, they say nothing stops this train. If you guys read Lawrence Leopard's Big Print, I mean, it's inevitable. It's math. There's no way to reverse the math. They're in a debt spiral. You guys have heard that phrase before. There's no getting out of it. There's no amount of GDP. There's no amount of cutting taxes. There's no amount of trade deals or tariffs that is going to solve this problem. All they can do is try their hardest to slow it down. And that's what they're trying to do. They've tried to slow it down, but next year, a massive print is coming. It's going to happen. And when that happens, all asset prices will go up. Your stocks will go up. Your real estate will go up. Our Bitcoin will go up. Your altcoins will go up. Probably not your altcoin, Mr. Guy at Home, but all the other ones will. No, that's just joking. Most altcoins will go up. But I did want to talk about you got a second for me to sidebar a little bit?
Yeah, and I haven't forgot your ADA question. I have a start, and I will, and I see your Monad. I'll dive on that a little bit. Go
Monad
ahead.
is available. I just wanted to touch on this. It's a little bit long.
I saw that. Yeah.
And this, because this is important for our audience out here. Obviously, the reason we come out here and talk to you guys about this stuff every day, we want to see all you guys make money. And we've done very, very well trading crypto over the years. We've been doing this almost a decade at this point, and it's been life-changing for every single one of us here that do this every day. And I want everybody else here to have the same story. And when I read this, it reminds me of a lot of people I see out there. And if you guys are down bad and mad, this is something I wanted to share, because it's more to being just early and right. And somebody say, my friend told me his portfolio is down 90%, spent the last 2 years DCAing into the wrong projects, looked promising. Narratives made sense until they didn't. He wasn't greedy. He wasn't being early. He was patient. And there's a lesson in that. Most people think the biggest risk in crypto is leverage. It's not. It's conviction in the wrong story. And I agree with that. Like
I wanted to pause you there because I want to take a little accountability. And I was thinking, what did I have conviction in that was incorrect? And I want to ask chat, what one narrative did you get fooled by? And for me, modular blockchains. Everybody, modular. It's the future compliance standards. NIST is going to modular. I fell for the modular angle, hook, line, and sinker, I guess about 2 years ago. And I want to take clarity for that one. TJ, I don't know if you have one. I see chat coming in, gaming, ADA. I have some ADA stuff a little bit later on. Just say ADA. You guys are roasting me, and that's fine. That's ADA. All right. I'll take
all
that.
hopes on midnight. All hopes on midnight for ADA. Yeah, I mean, there's been gaming was one in 2021. Metaverse, obviously, like as far as getting burned, Gala Games was one that I thought, and like that's the one that comes to my mind. And not moving on from a project like Gala. There was somebody in here that was very Gala Games focused before. I have a issue of being too early on things, way too early. Early on project, I bought into the narrative of like security based tokens on like what was it? It was I can't even remember. A Deep Brain Chain. I was way too early on AI.
Tom brought up a good one. Chainlink. A lot of people are down on Chainlink. I am still not bearish on Chainlink.
No, well, and that's kind of what I was getting at. Is you have to understand. You have to know when to cut ties, and it's not easy in this space. And that's what he's talking about is, this space can be unforgiving. It can, you can be disciplined, patient, responsible, and still lose if your selection is wrong. And I see that a lot. A lot of people get into the wrong project and they have deep conviction. People held Bored Apes all the way through, FTX. Yeah, that was, or FTT, how about that one? How about, there's a lot out there right now that people hold for way too long and you don't move on. And I'm not saying, Metaverse was really, if I had to pick a category, that would be the one that I had too much conviction in.
I look back on the bullish narratives around there, and it was like, yeah, we're going to hang out in a digital room and we're going to put an NFT on a wall and we're going to like talk and like, can you see it? And everyone's like, yeah, I can. I just saw Ready Player One 2 weeks ago.
And we had COVID, obviously, that happened at that time. So everybody was working from home. Everybody's working on Zoom all of a sudden overnight. And so
we're like, this is clearly a year or two away. Yeah, we're all going to be 2 to 5 years. This digital fortress, and we're going to hang out with our community members, and we're going to point at someone across the way and be like, oh, that's a real life crypto punk. And, we'll see it in the Fortnite bus lobby. Yeah. And we'll be like, oh my God, there's a guy over there with a squiggle. That never happened.
And it will probably in like 10, 15 years, our kids will probably do that. But we were just way, way too early. So I just wanted
Sandbox.
That's what I'm saying. Sand. I think I had Sand, Decentraland. We had Gala. We ran nodes for Gala. Like we tried it all. And
so I would say the way to make money though is cut your losses, realize when they're losses, and then we're trying to be public about when we cut this. I told you I sold on my TIA a long time ago. I've told you I sold half my Ondo, and we do have some good Ondo news later on in the show. I am going to share. And you know what? I did sell some ADA into Bitcoin after the pump last year, after Trump won. I sold some Cardano into Bitcoin, but then I traded that Bitcoin back into Cardano a little too early, obviously. So I will take the L on that one there.
And I wanted to mention, it resolves with the takeaway isn't don't buy alts. It's discipline won't save you if it's applied in the wrong direction. And that was the main point I wanted to make is I'm not telling you to sell your alts. I did want to know what do a self audit. What coin are you holding right now that your conviction might be wrong and you should probably cut? Tell us right now, what is in your portfolio that you deep down you think probably shouldn't be there anymore? This probably is. I might have missed this one. And sometimes if it's a small enough amount, I tell people, and this is what I do, of like, hey, just write it off in your head. And if it rallies with the whole market, sell it. But I do think we're moving into a phase in crypto where all altcoins aren't going to rally. The strong ones will, and the weak ones will just languish. Yeah, GRT, that's another really good one. That
Yeah, Graph, good tech. It's like
Great
the
narrative.
opposite Chainlink. You know, Chainlink off-chain data on-chain, and then Graph was kind of the opposite, taking a Web3 page and taking that data off-chain. So it's like the inverse Chainlink. And honestly, it did so well for me in January 2021. I was like, oh, it's going to do well again, and that clearly wasn't the case. It was a lot less of the floating supply than
yeah.
Sonic.
And so yeah, I would just say be willing to update your thesis. And this is what's tough is you have to do this for yourself. Like everybody will have opinions. Everybody's going to have different convictions. You're going to have influencers over here saying, do this. You're going to have friends over here saying, do that. And it's your job as an investor to take in as much information as you can, separate the signal from the noise, and then put your money where your conviction is. And I see too many people, they don't want to do all the research. They don't want to update their thesis. And sometimes that's the most important part. And I want to encourage you, don't quit. You know, it sounds cliche that like just keep clicking. I hated that. Don't just keep clicking on meme coins, but you should just stay invested in this space and update your thesis over time. The more you do it, the better you'll get at it. The faster you'll be able to recognize narratives and make rotations, because that is what matters. To me, the thing, and this is, you've heard me say it over and over and over and over again, what I have conviction in is Bitcoin, infrastructure, and DeFi. I am laser focused on DeFi.
Yeah, let me know if you jumped in with my Zcash trade. You know, I'm incredibly up on Zcash, and honestly, it's almost a little frustrating when I knew Zcash. You know, because if you look at Coinbase and you look at my assets, I do custody some of my assets on Coinbase as well as others, but I saw my Zcash just keep doing this, even though my DCAing had basically stopped. It just kept climbing and climbing and climbing my ranks, and I'm like, why didn't I just sell everything into Zcash?
Right. Yeah. And that's the other thing that most of the wealthiest investors of all times will tell you. Conviction in your winners will fix a lot of your mistakes. And so
we have taken profit. If you jumped in with that with me, I hope you took some as well.
I do want to mention on the Zcash note, another good one from Gainsey here: Vitalik flooding ETH and Bitcoin so my quantum resistant Zcash bags can run. To me, the quantum resistance is a lot more interesting to me on Zcash than even the privacy. Did you see
Nick Carter's post?
I did. Yeah, I did, on the quantum and how,
you know, he was talking about all that same stuff I was talking about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it could be closer. It could be closer than we think. And, you know, his post was basically, you know, like, if you break down the thread that he shared, people were saying like, could be longer, could be shorter, but generally when we see breakthroughs, it's kind of like AI. It's very hard to predict a timeline. One breakthrough could accelerate us by 10 years, or it could take 10 years to make that.
And there's a very important distinction that, you know, when you talk about it, you kind of maybe not you, of course, but like when people are talking about it, they use words interchangeably that maybe shouldn't be used interchangeably. Similar to, you're not trading Ethereum, you're trading Ether, but we just say Ethereum. So when they say Bitcoin might be hacked by quantum, it's not Bitcoin Core. It's not the node operators. It is old wallets. And so when they say Bitcoin is a huge quantum threat, not Bitcoin Core, old Bitcoin wallet. So that is the distinction. And I've kind of covered this a couple times, but just looking at SHA-256 versus elliptical curve cryptography, and then that's a rabbit hole I recommend. And I got to give my flowers to Martin Shkreli. Or
Pharma Bro.
I listened to like a 2-hour podcast of his, and I was like, holy crap. And I went down that rabbit hole after that. And it is a little alarming. And I kind of have a theory that one of the main reasons you're seeing those OG Bitcoin whales swap into Zcash, Balaji's network state, I think that's kind of what they're all talking about. Like, oh, you know, Bitcoin has this somewhat of a quantum threat, so let me maybe hedge 10, 15, 20% of my position.
Exactly. I agree too. And it's basically Vitalik here saying, yeah, I could break Bitcoin by the year 2020, you know, or Ethereum, you know, stuff. Now, obviously this is on their radar. They're adapting. It could also not, but I do think it is, like you're saying, it's somewhat of a hedge. And to me, that narrative, I think, is going to continue to get louder. You know, what is quantum resistant? That's going to be kind of, I would say, next cycles, or next, you know, if cycles are broken, the next few years worth of talking points that we hear coming out is what is infrastructure and what is quantum resistant as we get, especially as AI keeps accelerating and all these data centers keep coming online. That's really all the new data centers that are getting built right now that are going to be coming online in probably 2027. That's when things get really interesting as this tech innovation like accelerates 10x. Quantum resistance, I think, narrative is going to be extremely loud.
Oh yeah, for sure. Someone's saying Chainlink under 13. I mean, right there. Yeah, it is 1301. Yeah, wick below to 1298.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. I want to long it. I want to love, but I'm in a short, and my ICP did close. So I'm just in some profitable trades. Maybe I don't need to chase a trade while I'm live here.
Let me speak to this.
Yeah.
Hard to buy the dip. When you bought the dip the last 11 times, you were told to buy the dip. Keep buying the dip as the price keeps going down, 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 down. Did I mention buy the dip? I totally feel this, and it's very true. I experienced this in 2018. I experienced it in 2019, and it was tough. You got new money coming in, you throw it in. Oh, it's immediately down 20%. Okay, I got some new money. I threw it in. Now I'm down another 20%, and eventually it bottoms out, and you're extremely glad you bought those dips. You just have to give it enough time. I'm in that same boat right now. Like I said, I bought a pretty fat bag around 100K. I bought a couple last week. I bought some around 1010. I guess it wasn't. Yeah, it was around the 1010 liquidation amount. I put a lot in. I put a decent amount in last Friday, a little bit in Monday. So I just keep the number one goal, the number one thing. Investing is key. Having assets is key. But you guys always have to protect your cash flow. It's that old adage, revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, cash is king. That is very true. And as long as you have solid cash flow, that will keep you alive and sustained when everybody else is hurting. And
and that's why we've harped on revenue generating altcoins are key for this narrative moving forward. And we've done plenty of videos on those, so go check those out. All right, now let's talk about the market clarity bill. First, some clarity on clarity. This is from Eleanor Terra. The Clarity Act and the crypto market structure bill are the same thing. So that's first. Clarity Act was passed by the House in July, and the Senate's been working on their own version. So when Tim Scott, the senator, refers to the crypto market structure bill, he's referring to the Clarity Act. So the Senate version is largely based on the House bill, but is being tweaked by the Senate Ag Committee. They oversee the CFTC. Senate Banking Committee as well. So we saw a bipartisan discussion draft released from the Agriculture Committee last week, and we're still waiting on one from Banking. And keep in mind, we've already seen 2 drafts, but they're GOP-led. Next one should be bipartisan, further increasing the chances this is actually going to get pushed through. Once Banking releases the bipartisan draft, the votes in both committees are expected early December. The 2 versions are then merged into a single text, which Scott has indicated he wants to bring to the Senate floor early next year. Once it passes, it'll go back to the House, say, all right, we've merged it. Do you approve the merge? Then it goes back to President Trump's desk, where he's, presumably going to sign the thing. So we looking for a December vote on the bill with the early next year Trump signature. And he said the committee has been negotiating with Democrats to reach the deal. But he accused Democrat senators of stalling the efforts. And I don't think I need to go into a long screed against Elizabeth Warren. We've done that enough this week. But I think it's her. Then you have the Rhode Island senator. They're probably going to be leading the charge. They're trying to snuff this in the crib.
Yeah, they got to protect the bank's interests. That's what Elizabeth Warren is protecting banks' interests always.
And
keep that in mind.
No coiners. We are seeing a massive wealth transfer. Now, let me go on the soapbox for a second. We are going to see Bitcoin at $1 million. We will see Bitcoin at $1 million. You guys need to understand that. So what does the world look like when Bitcoin is $1 million? There's going to be a lot of envy. There's going to be a lot of jealousy. And the envy and the jealousy is going to come from the no coiners. The no coiners are going to be mad that we feel that we stole this wealth from them. They can't afford rent. They can't afford food. They're struggling to make ends meet on a day-to-day basis. But they see a crypto bro, and they're going to blame that crypto bro. So Elizabeth Warren and these Democrat cronies, they're getting ahead of the curve, and they're demonizing the quote-unquote crypto bros. They're demonizing you. They're dehumanizing you. Why? Because they probably want you to not exist anymore. And so they are getting ahead of that populist movement, which we will see, because it is going to be painful as the US dollar loses its hegemony. It's not going to be an easy process. If you're a student of history, it's never an easy process. There's always a world war. And I'm not saying there will be a world war, but there is a financial war, and there's a war for your minds, and there's a war for your sentiment. And I know what side I'm on. I know where I'm planting my flag. And I think the Disco fam, you're aligned as well.
You make extra income with the VE Arrow locks. You can lock up Arrow. We haven't done, I don't think maybe we have on this channel. I know again, DeFi Crypto airdrops right here in the chat. He's in here every day. They have a lot of videos on it there. But basically, yeah, you can go through the flight school. You get a bonus. We did a major lock. We got like a 30 or 40% bonus on our lock, and now you could sell it even for like a 10 or 13% discount. So there's big bonuses available, and yeah, you get fees every single week. Now you got to do some voting and some of that kind of stuff, but it's highly recommend. And then there's also, you take that stuff and then on air, there's two different ways. One is just buying locks, which I have a lot of FOMO to buy a lot more locks right here at these prices, especially after the update with Velodrome and what they're rolling out. A lot of big stuff coming out for base, especially in 2026, a big update, Q2 of 2026. I've got a lot of Arrow locks, and outside of that, I've got a ton of capital on the actual platform providing liquidity in concentrated liquidity pools. That's the main way I generate revenue on Aerodrome. It's through providing liquidity. I'm trying to get those numbers up substantially as far as monthly revenue goes. So that, to me, that's the direction our whole business is running, is being a DeFi business. So pretty soon it's going to eclipse what we're doing on the media side.
Yeah, we want to get you folks watching at home, smash the like button. We want to get you to have a large enough crypto bag where you can live passively off of safe income, safe yield, not trying to chase some 70% over there or 200% over here. Just give you a nice sustainable income for the rest of your life, so then you can pursue whatever you actually want to pursue. Now, we do have a comment here. With the crypto rollout, we won't have CBDCs, but we'll have something similar eventually. Well, that takes me to the rest of this article here. Now, we do have Coinbase CEO Bald Bryan. He's in Washington, D.C. currently, and he said, hey, we are making a lot of progress, but the Clarity Act is only one of 3 major crypto bills passed by the House. After a 10-hour voting session, we also had the Genius Act, which is aiming to regulate stablecoins. No surprise why they pushed that one out first. It helps prop up our debt. Then we have the nominal Anti-CBDC Surveillance Act. Nominal, just meaning in name only. So in name only, the Anti-CBDC Act. Sure, we won't get what's labeled as a CBDC, but we're getting CBDCs in sheep's clothing, and that one's going to outlaw central bank digital currencies, but they'll just be called a different name. It's a pig in lipstick. It's still going to be a pig. Let's talk about a little international news. Let me know if you're watching outside of America. We're going to cover a little bit of news from Africa. We're going to cover a little bit of news from Europe.
Yeah, let me know. Put where you're from in the chat. I always love seeing that. If you're in the U.S., put your state. If you're outside of the U.S., put your country.
Yeah, because I wonder if we have a lot of Indian viewers. I do want to include your guys' neck of the woods.
Yeah,
to borrow a phrase from America here. Now, Kenya. Let's talk a little Africa. Bitcoin ATMs flood Kenya's malls following new crypto laws, and the regulator, they're freaking furious. They're mad at these because they're like, wait, you didn't do all the things yet. And so the central bank and the capital markets watchdog cautioned that they have not licensed any of these jokers under the recent act to operate in or from Kenya. Now, if we look at the details, it's the Virtual Asset Service Providers Act. They just passed this 2 weeks ago. It's setting out a formal structure for licensing exchanges, wallet providers, other crypto platforms. I also mentioned crypto, any kind of way to buy crypto, including a Bitcoin ATM. However, National Treasury has not yet issued the regulations needed to activate the licensing process. They haven't even put out the checkbox for you to check to say, oh, yeah, you could go ahead and use a Bitcoin ATM. And now the Bitcoin ATMs are popping up all over Kenya, and they're stating that no crypto provider has been authorized to operate, but that's not stopping the Bitcoiners. They're out there. They're putting out the ATM. So W's in the chat for Kenya. W's in the cat. Sometimes in the chat, you just got to move fast and break things. Let's get some W's there, and we'll look at where some of you folks are from.
Yeah, a lot of a lot of international. I'm surprised. Obviously there's a lot of people in the U.S., but I've seen Greece, Norway, Italy, a lot Hungary, Finland, Germany, Portugal. So yeah,
watch out for bombs. Bomb the like button, everybody. Give me the like button.
Heads in the house. Sorry, go ahead.
We got Great Britain, Wisconsin. Yeah, just throwing some of these up here. Grid,
Salvador,
Iggy. Is it Azalea? Tell Neon to not rug his meme coin. We have.
He has no idea what's going on.
That's That's a front, in my opinion. I think
Well,
he
it's-
knows exactly, but you
Well-
definitely want to play the hapless idiot.
Yeah, true, fair enough. But there's that whole world of streamers is a front of everything, like that. There's botted viewers and kick streamers and all these people that's a whole sidebar.
All right, we got someone in Paris,
Luxembourg.
France. Are you part of the protests? We do like our protesters out there. Switzerland. Shout out to Ivan on tech. Michigan.
What part of Italy? I'm just curious. I've seen a few Italys. I'm just curious. Favorite. I want to say one of my favorite places I've ever been is Lake Como, Italy. It's so beautiful, so quiet, so serene. A lot of parts of Italy are cool, but
the barbecue in Fort Worth, hands down, probably a top 2 or 3 meal I've ever had in my life was going to like one of the quote unquote famous barbecue places in Fort Worth.
somebody I'm currently in a flaccid stay. Yeah, well, this market will do it to you.
What are you currently shorting? We're just farming some points, and right now we're shorting Aave. We closed ICP in profit, and we're just again farming some points there. So we are up a little bit there.
We've got a ETH, the chat or the Discord. A lot of our traders have an ETH short open right now as well. So we're short Aave, short ETH right now for today.
And we got take profit levels, all that good stuff
Yes,
in the Discord.
I was going to say these are short-term trades. Yeah, the Aave pair just hit the TP1 from this morning. So if I pull this up over here, the Aave pair had a take profit at 167 and 159. So TP1 already hit. So we've already starting to take some profit on that from this morning. And then on ETH, we're looking at taking profit 29.25 for TP1, 28.76 for TP2. So those are some of the levels we're looking at. And again, all of this stuff is free in our Discord. If you guys just want to join with the link in the description, all you have to, you can get in there. There's the signals go into one called trading signal calls. And then everybody who's kind of talking about their strategies, it's in trading chat.
And I close half mine. Ondo news, everybody. We got some good news. Ondo secures Liechtenstein. Shout out to Drew. That's where his clan is from. Yeah, Drew's in the background. He's listening here. Drew, pop in for give us a thumbs up if you can. Ondo securing a Liechtenstein approval to launch tokenized stocks across Europe. Liechtenstein, interestingly, has like the highest per capita globally. I think maybe 1 or 2 that beat it, but very, very high per capita, very small country. But this is not just Liechtenstein, because once you get this approval, it opens up the world for you, at least EU. So they received the green light from the Financial Market Authority from that country to issue and distribute tokenized stocks and ETFs across, get this, all 30 European Economic Area markets. So Ondo, yet again, one of the first movers out the gate, but will it follow America where 87 competitors then follow right? The door doesn't even finish swinging close. All these people are sneaking in. And then, maybe Ondo moves down the line. But as of now, Ondo, I want them to use their inside informations, block everybody, raise the moat, be the only game in town. I have sold half my Ondo bag, but I'm still holding the other half. And it's good news like this that might lead to some nice profits for you folks. So I don't know if you guys are still in Ondo. Now, we do have Cardano news. God dang it, all this Cardano FUD pissing me off. You're pissing me off, you sons of guns. Now, I have some breaking news. Cardano ADA entering extreme buy zone. So I am going to buy an altcoin today. I'm gonna open up my Robinhood account. I got some stock wins. Datadog, I think, has done pretty well for me. I took some profit on Datadog. Tell me what to buy, chat, and I am going to honor this result. I want to buy Bitcoin, but you guys aren't going to say Bitcoin. Out of these, and I believe all of them are on Robinhood. Correct me if I'm wrong. If not, maybe I'll just buy on PayPal or something. But Cardano, Chainlink, ETH, Bitcoin, XRP are sitting in good buy zones. Now, these 3, extreme buy zone, Bitcoin, XRP, good buy zone. Out of these 5 coins, what would you DCA into? I'm going to DCA into something, especially after all these red candles. Oh, finally, someone's saying Bitcoin there.
Out of those, ADA Link,
Yeah, Solana's not in there. We have Chainlink.
For me, what I have been doing is buying a lot of Bitcoin. I've also bought a chunk of Link and ETH. So for me, it's Link and ETH. It's probably Bitcoin, Link, or ETH in some combination. My goal, obviously, I've got a certain Bitcoin goal that I'm trying to hit. And so I'm always accumulating Bitcoin. I'm trying to use altcoins to make more Bitcoin. But buying Bitcoin at bottoms is almost always the easiest way to make that number go up. So Link and ETH, I do think are going to be infrastructure plays that are here to stay. So it's one of those three. If I was going to put a chunk in, I'd probably split it somewhat. Say,
I guess I got to buy more Chainlink, though. Chat is screaming for me to buy Chainlink. My phone's on the charger. I'd probably just market buy right now, but all right, I'll add another 2.3. Okay, maybe it'll be a little bit more. Maybe add maybe move the decimal point or something. But all right, I'll buy some more Chainlink. All right, let's look at some charts though. Cardano, this is from Ollie Charts. I do like his charts here, showing bullish divergence with the RSI on the daily and TD sequential, printing a buy signal for this one. Now, yesterday we looked at Cardano Bitcoin chart. Today, let's look at ADA USD chart. And I'll just tell you why I'm bullish from a technical analysis perspective. Simply put, bullish divergences on the daily chart. Last time we had a bull div, ADA pumped 100%. Let's go to the charts. Let's just make sure he's not making this shit up. You can see it right here. Clear bull div, higher low, lower low. It's clear as day. Let me move that. Higher low, lower low, as clear as day. And if you look at that God candle. That's not March 2024. We're looking at March 2025. I'm sorry, November 24. This is March 25. Cardano would go on a 100% pump. But even if, say, you jumped in a little bit late, like you waited for this RSI to confirm, say you even bought the freaking wick of that daily candle, still looking at a 70% pump for Cardano. And so from a TA perspective, I'm seeing some strength. Now, can this continue? It certainly can. I'm not saying it can't. Guess what? You're making me buy Link. I'll just buy more Cardano. It can do this, but I'm not bearish until it breaks the RSI. As long as this bull div is in play, I am not going to be bearish on Cardano. And we looked at the Bitcoin chart for Cardano. Very, very bullish as well. So just want to throw that on your radar. You guys were saying Dave Portnoy's post was still there. The media cannot be played is what I'm seeing here. So anyways, yeah, Dave Portnoy, I bought 2 million in crypto. When there's blood in the streets, I'm like a great white shark. If you read the comments, they definitely make fun of him a lot. It's a little bit of a risky scroll here, but they're basically saying like, yeah, last time you bought, you end up selling at a loss, and a lot of comments like that. Let's go to Dave Portnoy.
Yeah, his journey in crypto has been volatile to say the least, but I think he's going to win in the long term. As long as he's, his picks are interesting. The famously known for going all in on SafeMoon and then getting wrecked. Famous for buying at really good entries and selling by accident, not on purpose. Getting freaked out by the FTX stuff. He's just the Winklevi twins. Blowing his mind, talking about gold being mined by asteroids, and he's just being like, like what the hell is going on with all? Are you guys kidding me? Like, I think he's funny. I think he's engaging. I like his content and coverage for the space. He does have that. He's very relatable, I would say, to a lot of the everyday people.
Yeah, except for his height. But yeah, he's very, very relatable. He is funny. The pizza stuff's pretty good. And I do like him, except for his views on censorship. But other than that, I mean, I used to watch pizza reviews all the time.
Yeah, he's definitely got some views that I don't necessarily agree with. But hey, you're not. If everybody agreed with all your views all the time, the world would be a very boring place. You got to have some contrary opinions to make the world interesting.
They say he's smoking too much lettuce. Is that how he gets the appetite for like 5 pizza reviews in a day? Because sometimes he does film multiple in a day. You'll see the same T-shirt. So that would make a lot of sense. Kenny, you're going to catch up 16 minutes from now. The market has totally changed and you're totally behind. And you missed it. You've missed it, buddy. It's over for you. Pack it up. Go home.
I want to make sure we don't miss any super chats before we pass it off or anything like that.
Yeah, the ADA to $2. I guess I didn't answer that one. Let's see here. ADA to $2.
And while you're pulling that up,
the 100% actually $1. $1 is where that 100% pump leads it to. Because right now it's like 45 cents. So technically you're actually maybe looking at closer to 90 cents. 90 cents there.
And I'll say I'm still holding ADA. I've been holding ADA since my first started accumulating ADA around 5 cents. So I'm still up well on Cardano, but I will say all of the infighting between the three foundations. I don't know if you have a thought or an opinion on that with IOG and Cardano Foundation, Emurgo, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. I mean, it's tiring to say the least. I do think Charles has done a good job. I do think Midnight has a big potential. A lot of good stuff there. But it's, for me, if Midnight doesn't change the game dramatically, it's really tough for me not to want to take my ADA stack over to Aerodrome. Like, I think about it a lot. Now I'm not doing it yet, but had I sold at dollar, it close to a couple bucks, or 120, was that where it was? 150? I can't remember recently, but
it wicked up to 131, and
Yeah,
then
130.
around like 110, 120 is when I swapped a lot into Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'd like to see that resolved. I'm not tapping out yet, but I am like, if that whole I'm tired boss meme, like, I'm right there with you guys on some of these projects. Had I swapped over to Bitcoin at those levels, like DZ just mentioned, I'd be probably less frustrated with it. And again, this is somebody who bought at 5 cents, so I'm not even in the red. I can't imagine what it would feel like if you bought it at a couple bucks. Oh, hey, DZ Pool.
Oh, hey, I'm still bullish. I'm still building. All right, I got a book coming out on the ADA. I am bullish on it, on the entire ecosystem. And if you do self-custody or ADA, highly recommend you go do self-custody. Use a Lace wallet. It's probably my favorite one. And go stake a DZ stake pool. We are going to be a night validator. So you're going to earn 2 tokens if you get DZ stake pool with your Cardano. So
I will say, ADA has a lot of advantages when it comes to the Clarity Act or the market structure bill, when it comes to decentralization, when it comes to maturity, if you know what like NIST standardization means.
Mm-hmm. I will say there's smart hedge fund managers who do know what that means.
Absolutely. Yeah. So there's a lot of upsides for ADA into 2026. It just has always felt like it's being held out of the club, so to speak. So I think Charles,
the stable coin is going to $5.
That's what it needs, a stable coin. If we could get some DeFi going on there, I would immediately be re-engaged with it. So yeah.
A USDC, USDT announcement will pump ADA to levels you aren't ready for, and it will be the most hated rally in crypto. I want to share this. This guy does these threads or posts, rather. It's Hantengree, 0x Hantengree. ICP raised 167 million, another ghost chain. First Binance candle open at 1.3 trillion fully diluted value. And now the TVL, 6 million. But then when I looked, I was like, oh no, he does XRP. I literally stopped clicking after the next one because I kind of want to just kind of see this live with you guys. And I'm like, story. I'm like, oh, wait, this is daily, 16th. This is where I don't know. Okay, so I'm honestly just saying, are you going to do Cardano? Please don't do Sui. So interesting, Polkadot. So if you got a coin and you're like, I don't know if I should sell, I kind of want to sell, see if he's talked about it and give yourself a negative bias. Okay, then it stops there. So it stops at Aptos. All right. So risky click. I don't want to click on there.
Yeah.
It's too close to hentai. I don't think it's going to be on the timeline.
That's what I read when I see that. Yeah.
I accused a coworker of looking at hentai at work. Jack, I apologize. He got very upset by that. And he was almost like, I'll say he was shaking, but he's like, I wasn't looking at hentai. And he got real mad, and it wasn't, and I exaggerated. And I guess that means different things, but he was like looking at some anime stuff that was a little risque for the workplace. So Jack, I'm calling you out still. You just got DZ'd. All right. Last story I want to share here. And then we're going to pass it to the Druth and Kelly duo. This is big news. Kraken raised an $800 million, backed by $200 million Citadel Securities investment. We often see crypto IPOs line up with local tops. We saw it in 2021, Coinbase. We saw it on October 6th. Now we got another IPO, and potentially here is this one's valuing Kraken at 20 billion. Not saying it's a direct, sign we are going to see one, but probably going to see one. And it's backed by Citadel Security Investment. And if that name sounds familiar, it should. Why? Kenneth Griffin's investment vehicle. He's like 21st richest person in the world. Just a casual 50 billion. So we got one of the world's richest people backing Kraken because he does see the value in crypto. And so, yeah, I do think $1 million Bitcoin is not crazy. It's something that we will see. And it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's big stuff coming. Yeah, Kraken IPO 2026. There's going to be a lot of big IPOs in 2026. So a lot of big stuff coming. And we are going to have Crank on here shortly. We're going to have Kelly and Drew joining us in just 1 second when I hit this next button. But we have Trump. He's going to be speaking live. So prepare yourselves, duck and cover, watch out for your bags. It could be volatile. Again, we're in shorts right now, and it seems like lately, almost every time Trump talks, prices go down, not up. So we're going to see what happens with that. But yeah, let us know in the chat. Are you long? Are you short? Are you holding? Are you scared? Are you excited? And Kelly and Drew, how's it going today?
I'm surrounded by charts in the profit from these trading calls. Oh my God, I got this one. I got this one. This is huge.
It's
I'm
nice,
excited.
right? Yeah.
And it took me a long time to feel like shorting, but here we are.
But you know what's great is the quant that we have that's really printing some awesome signals. We already had 2 winning trades today in the Discord. One was 69%, one was 21%.
I didn't see the ETH trade. You guys were talking about
live.
ETH. Everyone's in the Discord. I missed it.
Yeah, it was while we were live. Yeah.
But then remember, everybody, no matter the TA we've done, remember, Trump is coming on to ping pong the sentiment here back and forth yet again. So strap in, because when Trump gets on, it doesn't matter what the topic is that he's speaking on. It will be basically a regurgitation of everything that's been in the news in the last 2 weeks. He will ping pong thoughts on all of it, I'm sure.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, I'm going to hop off. I'm going to leave it to you guys. Crypto Crank, I know you're in the chat. You're going to be joining here shortly to give those levels, tell you how far Bitcoin can fall, how bad this BlackRock manipulation is going to be, and what to expect. So, yeah, have a good show, boys.
All right.
Absolutely.
Man, shout out to TJ. He also bought us pizza while we were in the background. It was
well, he had to. Why? Because you are going to be the best president ever.
You know what? I made a promise. Make sure to follow me, okay? I made a promise on my Twitter account this morning because you know what? Every bathroom mirror only goes up to 5'10", and this is an absolute atrocity. This is not okay, and this is my first mandate: is to bring the average height up so that it at least, like, someone 6'6" doesn't have to crouch down to see themselves in the mirror. But yes, we're going to be bringing up Crypto Craig. Make sure to follow me. And also, Kelly, pull up your Twitter account because you're always putting up some great things. We are constantly looking at this market. And really, as of yesterday, I just flipped the chart upside down. Things seem to make more sense for me. It is what it is. But yes, make sure to follow Kelly. Kelly dropped some fire. The ISM data, it's what kind of keeps me up at night. You know, the business cycle being in control more so than anything.
Dude, we're in such a precarious spot right now with the market. We're so precarious because on the one hand, we have this absolute meltdown of price action that's coming into target zones. And we're going to have Crank really dive into this here in a second. But coming down to the target zone that we, Crank and I and you, we've been looking at, potential move even a bit lower. And I think if we're going to go into a bear market, this makes a lot of sense. But if the business cycle context is going to be more impactful in terms of, is liquidity driving this market, or is it the 4-year cycle because of the halving? If that's the case, this is going to wreck so many people because this is leading people to believe the 4-year cycle is an absolute truth oracle, and that's what's going to happen. But if this does dip down a bit deeper and then make its move up, or potentially even chop sideways all the way through February, I think that's going to leave a pretty dark stain in the sentiment a lot of retail traders, which is sad because if the market moves up after February and retail's gone, you're telling me only institutions get to win again? I'm not down for that.
Yeah, you know, and it's really, I was kind of forged in darkness in crypto, so the idea of a bear market is actually weirdly relieving to me to think about for some reason. It really is, and I'll kind of show why. Because you know what, trading, it opens up the opportunity for us to make more tether on the way down on a price chart. The asset becomes cheaper. We can use the new tether to buy good assets, right? And TJ was talking about some pretty important things in the earlier show about making sure that you're not falling for the wrong narrative. And I did fall for the XRP narrative back last bull market. I fell for the ADA narrative to a degree, and I don't think the ADA ecosystem is necessarily dead, but a lot of the pump mentals, the old school style that altcoins would move just because they were altcoins, is not in the room with us right now. So we got Crypto Crank.
Well,
Let's have
on
him
that
talk.
note, I just wanted to bring this up because I feel like this market is still so young and so emerging that
Yeah.
anytime you get one data point to reference, you think you have an idea. And this is what I really feel like is happening in 2025. And think about it, crypto bros, everybody, we're figuring it out. This is going to be the cycle. We have some data. We're going to learn some TA. We're going to understand the Bitcoin 4-year cycle. And part of that, remember, has to do with the rotation from Bitcoin to ETH and ETH to altcoins, which we have not seen. And we're going to all have a clear exit strategy. And what has happened with this is more like, the more you know. Well, what does it led a lot of people right into the slaughter bus, because there's been so many different things outside of TA, outside of liquidity, outside of even the adoption of the crypto ecosystem. What we're actually seeing is a reshaping of where the different powers that be sit on the world stage with tariffs and with what's going on with Venezuela and Ukraine and Gaza. I mean, across the board, we're seeing a restructuring that's really, really putting a dampener on this sort of risk, the risk matrix that is, driving or suppressing these markets.
Absolutely. Let's bring up Crypto Crank. I'm looking forward to getting back on the line with you. Crypto Crank, nice hat, first of all. How are you doing? Crank, can you hear me right now?
Yeah, I can hear you guys. Can you guys hear me?
Perfect. Yes, sir. You're good to go. So
there we go. Look at the war we got going on, baby.
The battle is on. The Bears are beating the hell out of the Bulls to my left here, Crank. You had some great data that you laid out last week that ended up playing out pretty concisely. And I'm very excited to get your take on where the markets are likely to go from here before Trump gets on stage here. So if you can, let's get into it, brother.
All righty, guys. Well, it's not a good look right now for Bitcoin. And, we'll start off with what everybody was originally saying about the 50-week SMAs. And that's way up at 102. I'm just going to lay it right out there. You got probably an 80% chance that Bitcoin top is in. About 80% that the Bitcoin top is in, just based off of that simple indicator for a bull cycle. And so I'll show you guys what that is. And everyone was calling for this, but here's the thing about traders, guys, is we don't deviate. You guys are going to see a lot of people start changing their plan now on how there's still another scenario. And I would say there's a 20% chance that Bitcoin can get the juice to get back above that 102. So let's pull up that SMA real quick.
Hey, Crank, we got a super chat here from the Discover Crypto channel. It says, "Hey, Crank, adjust your screen width."
Okay, let's do that. I do this every single time, dude. My boy Kelly here every time. I need to save it. So hold on. We need to blow this up.
There
like
it is.
this.
There it is.
Oh,
Keep going that way.
And
You
then,
pulled it in.
oops,
Oh,
oops,
Narrow,
oops.
narrow.
Yep. So hold on. I'm gonna do this right now. Let's throw this into narrow. Like this.
That should be good. That should be good.
Perfect.
Right there?
Yep.
Perfect.
Yep. Right there.
All right. Now I'm
Nice.
gonna
Thanks
put
for the
this-
super
this.
chat. Whoever did that.
Thanks.
Shout out
It
to
was
you.
Kelly. Thanks, Kelly. So let's pull up that SMA real quick. And so I know I had it say bang. And then let's go to a weekly. And then let's change this to a 50-week. And you guys can see, guys, we are way. Look what happens. Again, I wasn't really big on using the 50-week SMA to kind of call I was taking it by just the support levels and just playing it by that. But you guys could see every single time we get below this, it's not good. When we hold above, the bull cycle just it can maintain its rally. Right now, we are so far away from this is 102, guys. And typically what that happens is we do go into a 1-year bear market before we start to recover. But I'm not going to just be all bearish. There's levels to all of this. You guys know how I do my trading. Simple trading is the best trading. So my targets right now, I have fibs from 2 areas. We originally pulled it from this low to this high. We have the 786, which is going to be right around 85,500. 85,500. But if we dip into a deeper correction, we have a lot of confluence down here at this 77 to 80 grand. A lot of confluence down here. This is a big level. Also, if we pull this fixed range volume all the way across, you guys can see I think I need to pull this just a little bit lower.
Oh, your fib. I love this stuff. I mean,
pull the
you're
fib,
exciting
dude.
me. You're exciting me. I know this is crazy, but the idea, Max Payne was up only for me. If I can get a breath in this market, because I know Bitcoin's going to $1 million, I want cheaper entry points here. So keep going. But
That's what I was telling everybody, guys. You guys, you know what? Let the weak hands dust it, dude. Get out of here. Bounce.
Right.
I believe Bitcoin's going to $1 million as well. I do believe that again, when I talk about my portfolio, I tell myself I don't plan on selling Chainlink. I don't plan on selling Ethereum. I don't plan on selling my Bitcoin. So, you know, guys, really adjust your portfolios. If you are down big right now, do not listen to Discover. Now is not the time to sell. We are in for a bullish week. Okay, that's the next part that we're going to be going in, is that it's almost the more they short to the upside, the higher it squeezes. The more these boneheads try to long this right now, the lower it's going to go. Everyone and every one of these big boy traders are trying to catch this bottom, and that liquidity just keeps showing up and getting smashed and showing up and getting smashed. And so it's almost very identical to where, you know, the first time that we touched, you know, like $110,000, we just zoom out on this and we go to, let's just go out to the, you know, the more they tried to short this right here at 110, the higher she went. The more they tried to short this at 118, the higher she went. This is very identical to the downside. The more they try to long this, the lower she's going to go. And everybody needs to sit back and let these guys, because the moment it truly gets cleaned out, this is where we're in for our bullish week, where Bitcoin can easily throw a $7,000 candle easily. And what that looks like, you guys can see just even from here to here. I mean, this is 108 up to 126. I mean, we can go any of these. Look at this candle from 111 to 117. There's your $7,000 candle. I'm expecting something like this after the rinsing is over, but they're not, guys. The more you try to long this, the lower she's gonna go. Just no ands, ifs, or buts, and they're crushing them right now. These guys are just crushing it.
Absolutely.
So
it took me a while to flip. Like losing the 300 SMA on the daily, I just was like, okay, fine. I'm gonna turn the chart upside down. It's made a little bit more sense for me, and I won't be able to perma short the market or anything like that. But it's about kind of having the ability to change with the dynamic of the market, understanding the environment you're in, and adapting to it. Right. The goal here is more Tether, turn that into more Bitcoin all along the way. We do have Trump getting ready to go live as well. So we have the White House just went live. Exciting times for shorts potentially, unless it ends up being mega bullets. Let's pull this up. We'll keep an eye out on this. I'm watching this in the background. As soon as this comes up, I will go over to it for everyone that's here for the Trump live announcement, this U.S.-Saudi investment forum. But Crank, let's get some final thoughts from you, because you're absolutely smashing it. Coliseum, the Discover Crypto Investments Group, trading group is printing. What are your final thoughts as we head into kind of the close of this week, brother?
On the positive side, I want to see Bitcoin try to get over $92,000. I mean, isn't that just crazy to think that if we just go to an hourly right here, that Bitcoin just does not have the juice. And I know why. These entities, man, they're loading up for that bullish weekly candle that I'm talking about. The more that these guys are holding these shorts right here, the more they're trying to long. This is just a recipe for a serious squeeze. But it's not going to happen while everybody is trying to long this bottom. This is not a bottom, guys. What I say inside of my channel is we want that nasty candle, that final capitulation. We're talking about that bad boy that just boom. We want to see that probably come down, and I would be very careful unless you're buying spot for your investment portfolio. I would not be. Altcoins could potentially, from where they're at right now, could have a serious capitulation if Bitcoin breaks $85,000. Chainlink, remember I told you weeks ago, 1040. If we look at Link, that is a very big level for Chainlink. Go out to a daily on it, even just a 3-day. I have levels all the way right here. So if it does not hold, look at this gap, man. This is just a nasty gap. It's going to fall somewhere between 1040, but it needs to hold here for Chainlink and flip this into support like it did. But Solana, I have targets underneath 100. It's really 109. Like, look at Sol. If we go out to a weekly, it needs to hold right here, or it's going to throw one of those nasty candles that I'm talking about, just a quick rinse, and it's all the way down to 109, 112. Hyperliquid is holding
Here we
better than
go.
most. Oh, is it
Well,
live?
let's pull up Trump. Yeah, he's going live. Well, Crank, let everyone know where they can find you before we pull up Donald Trump and see if he dumps or pumps the
Just
market here.
YouTube,
brother.
guys. Go to the YouTube. You guys can follow me on YouTube. Go to Telegram. I mean, not Telegram. X. Go to X, and then also go get inside of the Discover Crypto. Get inside of the Discover Crypto Discord. Yes. I have a lot of opinions in there, guys. I'm always posting all of my opinions, and all we're doing, guys, is we're preparing for price action. So when the price actually gets there, there's no surprises. So.
Absolutely. Well, Crank, really appreciate you coming on and giving your sound advice here. We're gonna pull up Trump, and things are about to get crazy. So
I'll just be sitting back with you guys, man. I'm hanging out. I don't got no plans.
Oh, actually, perfect. All right. Well, let's check it out. Let's see what's going on here. Let me know. One's in chat if the sound is working. One's in chat if the sound is working. Yell at me if it's not.
Your Royal Highness, we now invite you to deliver your remarks. The floor is yours. سمو سيدي الكلمة لك.
فخامة الرئيس دونالد ترامب، الحضور الكرام، يسعدنا نلتقي بكم اليوم في واشنطن بعد 6 أشهر من انعقاد منتدى الاستثمار السعودي الأمريكي في الرياض، الذي انعقد خلال زيارتكم فخامة الرئيس، حيث وضعنا الأسس لشراكة تقوم على النمو والتنويع الاقتصادي والابتكار، كما وقعنا وثيقة الشراكة الاقتصادية الاستراتيجية بين بلدينا. في خطوة تاريخية لترسيخ التعاون الاقتصادي، واليوم يسرنا توقيع اتفاقيات ومشروعات استثمارية جديدة تتضمن قطاعات الدفاع والطاقة والذكاء الاصطناعي والمعادن النادرة والقطاع المالي.
We laid the foundations for partnership based on growth, economic diversification, and innovation, and we signed a strategic economic partnership document between our two countries. In a historic step to cement our economic cooperation, today we are delighted to sign investment agreements and projects that include sectors such as defense, energy, AI, rare minerals, and finance. This will contribute to generating huge job opportunities in our two countries and to economic growth. We contribute to strengthening our historical relations and developing investment trends between our two countries in line with our ambitions. I invite you.
And it's great to be here today at the U.S. Saudi Investment Forum. Great group of people. The biggest, you got the biggest in the room. But some of the most talented, maybe most importantly, the word talent, successful and innovative business leaders anywhere on the planet. Whether you have come from near or far, we're delighted to have you invest right here in the hottest country anywhere in the world. Every leader is saying the United States we're the hottest country in the world. We're going to keep it that way too. But this has been, according to those that seem to say it, and I will say it, I would never say a thing like that because I want to be very modest. I always want to be modest as I can. They say this has been the best 9 months that any president has ever had. I'd say that's pretty good, right? But we've had a great 9 months. Now we have to do it more than a few more times. We just have to keep it going. We'll keep it going. I want to thank my friend, a great gentleman, Crown Prince Mohammed of Saudi Arabia, for his bold leadership and deep commitment to the ties between our two countries. Thank you. Thank you. Great gentleman. Yesterday, we had a phenomenal visit at the White House celebrating the 80-year bond between the United States and Saudi Arabia. We ended with an unbelievable show last night in a room that was far too small, but the next time you're here, you'll have a much bigger room. It's gonna be much bigger. I made more enemies last night by we had 119 people. That was a record for the room. So they've wanted for 150 years. They've been clamoring for a ballroom at the White House, and we're giving them one. We're giving them 1+, and it'll be something. But you'll be here. You'll be among the first, if not the first, if you'd like. We'll work it out. But you had a lot of people that wanted to be there. They really would have witnessed something that was really incredible. The entertainment last night was incredible, including our great opera singer, but including the military, the talent and the military musically is also incredible. So It was great to be with you last night. I think it was something to behold. We officially designated the kingdom yesterday as the major non-NATO ally. That's a big deal. It's actually a very big deal. It's a great honor. That happens seldom, very seldom, if at all. So I just want to congratulate you on that. That's a sign of trust. We signed a historic strategic defense agreement yesterday also, and that's something that is likewise very rare, and it's very honored company that you're in. And we're going to be selling Saudi Arabia some of the greatest military equipment ever built. We build the best military equipment in the world by far. That's why we do the most business, including nearly 300 American-made tanks is what you're buying, among many other things, the airplanes, and we're working on getting that approved very quickly. It's already approved, but don't worry. We have to go through a process. The process will take, Elon knows, the process will take about, would you say 24 hours? I think so. You're in good shape, very good shape. The partnership between our two nations is among the most consequential in the entire world, and together the Crown Prince and I are making an alliance stronger and more powerful than it's ever been before. We've had good relationships and frankly not good. You didn't have a good relationship with Barack Hussein Obama. You didn't have a good relationship with Sleepy Joe Biden. But you had a great relationship with me, and now it's as good as it was, and probably even better if you think about it, because we took the dark cloud away from your country. It was called Iran and its nuclear capability, and we obliterated that very quickly and strongly and powerfully.
Thank you. Yep.
But that was a real cloud over the whole Middle East, and now they want to make a deal. They want to make a deal. They want to see if they can work out a deal with us, and we'll be doing that probably. But that was a terrible cloud that you had to live with for a long time. 22 years they were thinking about doing that, the B-2s. That was even before the B-2s. Those B-2s, what machines they were, they flew in, they were undetectable, and they dropped their payload, and every single bomb hit its exact mark, which was a shaft going deep into the mountain. And every single one of them hit, and it was total obliteration. And then I was criticized by some of the fake news for saying the word obliteration was too strong, perhaps. They had no idea. Nobody saw it. 3 days later, when the Atomic Energy Commission went, they said it was total obliteration, beyond obliteration, they said. But they want to make a deal. We'll see what happens. This week, our countries also signed groundbreaking agreements on civil nuclear energy, critical minerals, and artificial intelligence. And I want to congratulate a lot of the great American leaders, business leaders that are in the room. And you'll do a great job for Saudi Arabia and for a lot of other people in the room that are buying your product, taking your product, and using your product. All of that is in addition to the $600 billion investment in the United States that Saudi Arabia announced during my unforgettable visit there last spring. Well, I said, could you try and get that up to $1 trillion? And yesterday, the Crown Prince announced that the number that they'll be investing in the United States is $1 trillion. So that's really an honor. And we just took a picture backstage with some of the great business leaders and some of the great people, friends of mine from your country, and beautiful picture. And
Oh, don't you do this to me. Don't you do this to me.
we were taking the picture, I said, could you make it 1.5 trillion? So he's
a lot
got
of money.
something to think about. I
This
don't
is
know.
a lot of money.
We'll get something. I think we'll get something, Scott, right? But many of you in the room are playing a key role in making these projects happen. And we're told that $270 billion in agreements and sales are being signed between dozens of companies. And that's just happening today, $270 billion. That's big stuff. So on behalf of the thousands of American workers who I care about most, I want to thank you for bringing all those jobs and all those great opportunities to America and bring in great wealth to America. We've become a very wealthy country. We have a couple of little things. We're waiting for a decision. We hope that's going to be good, but if it's not, we'll do. We always find ways, we find ways, but we've done things that nobody thought were possible. And we're taking in trillions and trillions of dollars. Tariffs have been, frankly, the best thing that's ever happened to our country. They've always been used against us, and we never had people that were smart enough to use them in the opposite direction. But now you do, and we have taken in trillions of dollars, and it's been absolutely amazing. We're going to be doing a dividend to the people, low and middle income, moderate income people, of at least $2,000. In addition to that, we'll be paying down debt very substantially. It's the kind of money we're taking in. And really, countries that took advantage of us are no longer taking advantage of us. Some of our friends treated us far worse than our enemies on trade anyway, and we've got that all straightened out. And everybody's happy. They respect us again. It's like one of those things. I think they like us better, and they actually respect us, and it works out much better for us too. But I especially want to thank our numerous Saudi friends here today, including the ambassador to the United States, a friend of mine, Princess Rima. Thank you very much. Great job.
Clapping right now.
Great representative you have. You sent a good representative. And many distinguished ministers and members of the cabinet, governor of the Public Investment Fund. Where's Yasser? Yasser's here someplace. Sometimes I see him dressed both ways. I don't know. It's cooler that way. I'd dress that way if I could. Yasser's terrific. He's a terrific man, actually. So thank you very much, Yasser. And Secretary Scott Bessent, who's been fantastic. Where's Scott? We're thinking about him for the Fed, but he wants no part of it. He likes being Secretary of the Treasury. I think we'll leave him. So let's cross your name off, right? Officially, right? Remember, you said that. I love the Fed job. To me, it's the easiest job in the world. You play golf for 28, 29 days, then you go and make a little speech, tell everybody, in the case of the current guy, the wrong information because he has no clue. But if you have good instincts, it's all based on instincts. I see they want to hire 3,000 economists, 3,000, to report to the Fed chairman. What are they going to do? Take all this information? 3,000 economists. That's why they're spending $4 billion on renovating a building that should have cost $25 million to do. They should have spent $25 million. They're building a basement into the Potomac River. I could have told them that's very tough to do and it doesn't work and it's very expensive. But they're up to $4 billion headed by this clown. But we have 3,000. Think of it. They want to hire 3,000 economists. So they took a poll and they interviewed 71 people. And of the 71 people, 2 people got it right. 2 people. One was a great economist whose name I won't tell you because I don't like him personally, but he is good. And the other one that got it the most right was a man named President Donald J. Trump. Do you believe it?
You believe it?
And I didn't have an economist. Well, I had Scott. But we got it right, didn't we? Huh? We got everything right. Doug Burgum, where's Doug? Will you please drill a little bit faster? Between him and I'll tell you, you and Chris. Chris was great on television. And he's setting records. They're setting records. But I'll never be satisfied. Drill. We got elected. Drill we must. I called it. Drill, baby, drill. Con Edison, a great utility from New York many years ago, they used to have it said, drill we must and dig we must. So when they were digging in a road, they'd have a sign, dig we must. Well, now we're putting those utilities to shame because I'm allowing all of those AI plants that are being built to build their own electric generating force, and they're building them like nobody's ever seen, and they're coming up with ideas and new contraptions like nobody's ever seen. And this way they can't blame me for not producing electric. I said, you produce it yourself. And actually they didn't believe I was saying that because nobody ever thought of a thing like that. They're building a massive plant. They were going to hook it up to a 200-year-old grid. And that wasn't going to work because there's no way of doing that. No way we could have done that. And I had the idea. This was my idea, approved by a couple of people. I said, why wouldn't that happen? They're building a plant for $50 billion. You know, if you build a shopping center for $50 million, it's okay. It's not a bad shopping center. 500 million, you're talking about top of the line. 50 billion. So when it was first explained, they're spending 50 billion. I said, no, you mean 50 million. No, sir. We mean 50 billion. And then I saw some of them that were the size of Manhattan. I said, they did mean 50 billion. And I said, well, what you're going to do is with that, how would you like to build your own electric generating plant? And they looked at me like I was crazy because something like that, they really didn't understand it. The smart guys, they didn't understand it. They said to me at the next meeting, sir, the biggest problem we have will be electricity. I said, you don't understand. I told you last week, you're going to build your own. I'm giving you approval to build your own plant, and you will be approved within a period of 2 to 3 weeks. It used to take 20 years prior to termination. In other words, you would wait 20 years and you wouldn't make it. You'd be voted down 5-4. I said, we're getting you approved in a 2-week, 3-week period. In fact, Lee Zeldin, one of the superstars of this administration, I said, Lee, if it's oil and gas, get them approved in 2 weeks. If it's nuclear, add another week. Because some are going nuclear and they're doing, be careful. They better be careful, but they are going to be careful. They're the greatest people in the world. So now they come back and they actually believed it. And now they're being approved rapidly. And we have things being built, the likes of which nobody's ever seen. We're leading China by a lot in AI. And we're also bringing auto plants in from Canada and from Mexico. They took them and they're all coming back. They're all coming back because of tariffs. If we didn't have tariffs, I mean, they like the fact that we won the election by a landslide on November 5th. That helped. But they're all coming back, and they're coming back from Germany and Japan. Toyota just announced, as you know, $10 billion worth of new plants. They just announced it last week. I went to various countries, and Japan was one of them. And Toyota's coming in with a $10 billion investment in 4 or 5 plants. Now, we're going to be more advanced than we were. So we led the car industry like 100% 50 years ago. We led the chip industry 30, 40 years ago. We had 100%. Then people came in and started taking it. I don't blame them, Taiwan, et cetera. They took 100% because we had no president that protected our industry. If we would have said, it's wonderful that you're going to Taiwan, we think it's great, but when you sell your product back into this country, there will be a 250% tariff. Nobody would have left. Nobody would have left. And Intel would have been a giant. Intel would have been, where's Jensen? Intel would have blown, well, he now owns a big chunk of Intel. He's got it figured all different ways. Where are you, Jensen? Stand up. You have done such a good job. And you had a good 2 days, I understand, right? A good 2 days. How's Blackwell doing? Okay. Any recent competitors? Anybody going to blow Blackwell away in the next week? They say 10 years. I don't know, maybe 2 years, 3 years. But you will not be stopping there. You'll be going further fast, right? Amazing job you've done. I want to thank Howard Lutnick and Kristi Noem for being here. Kristi, Howard, good job. Really good job. My daughter Tiffany's here with her great husband, Michael. Thank you very much, Tiffany. Thank you, honey. She was a great student. She went to Georgetown. She was a great, great student, and she finished really right at the top, and we were proud of you. And she was so proud, and her graduation got canceled.
He sounds quite
because of
tired.
COVID. But I say if her name were something else, they probably wouldn't have canceled it. They didn't like that she did so well in school. They weren't happy about it. I say they canceled your graduation because you were a great student, and they didn't want, but other than that, I have no problems. You see, I don't take anything personally. Anyway, great job. And of course, hundreds of the top minds in technology, finance, and private enterprise from both Saudi Arabia and the United States. But my message to all of the leaders and investors with us today, and they are the best in the world, is very simple. Under the Trump administration, America is back and America is open for business. And America is actually stronger than it's ever been before, ever. We rebuilt the military in my first term. Foolishly, we gave a little bit to Afghanistan, but not very much compared to what we built. But now we're building it at levels that we've never done before. And in addition to that, we're sending a lot out to our allies, and we're making it possible for them to get it. I want those companies to build more plants, to build it faster. We want them to build it faster. The biggest problem we have is we have a backlog because it's so good. Every country wants our missiles, our jets. They want everything we have. And
We gave the Taliban plenty.
We just have a new plane, the
That's Biden.
F-47. It won a very strong competition. It's the newest. And that was won by Boeing. Boeing is doing, by the way, Boeing is doing an amazing job of coming back. Kelly is doing a great job. They're really moving, and it's really great to see. But they won the competition for the jet fighter. And they say it reaches levels that has never been reached, both in terms of stealth and speed and everything else that they go by. So they're just completing their factory, and they've already started work on the F-47. How did that number get chosen? I don't know, but I didn't pick it. I did not pick it. It was said, sir, we'd like to present you with the F-47. I said, that's an unusual number. How did you pick that number? After 4 years of economic nightmares under the previous regime, Sleepy Joe Biden, he's a sleepy guy, wasn't he? Think he would have been here today? I don't think so. Americans have rejected the failed, and they were really failed, far left models that you were looking at of high taxes and massive spending, soaring costs, crushing regulations, and trillions of dollars in green new scams. Everything was a new scam, green, green, green. Look, I'm all for the environmental, everything. I'm all for climate change. You know, they have new word, climate change. Used to be global warming. It's global warming. Well, that didn't work because it started coming down. They did the global cooling thing. Then they just said, we can't keep up with this. It's too much. So we'll go, perfect words, climate change. They're covered. If it rains, if it snows, if it's warm, it's climate change is destroying the world. Remember? The world was supposed to have been gone 2 years ago. They gave us 12 years, Howard, to live, right? 12 years. But that was 14 years ago. The world was going to burn up, but it got actually much cooler. They know these people. It's a little conspiracy out there. We have to investigate them immediately. They probably are being investigated. Their policies punished success, rewarded failure, and produced disaster, including the worst inflation in our country's history. We had the worst inflation in history, and now we have a beautiful normal inflation. It's going to come down over the next few months a little bit more, but we have a nice normal inflation. We had the highest inflation in the history of our country. 9 months ago, our country was dead, but now America is the hottest country anywhere in the world. We're the hottest country. I don't care what country you're with. America is the hottest country considered, and we did this in a period of 9 months. We're a little longer than that, but it took me about 2 weeks to get started. We're rewarding those who build and create, invent, and invest in the USA. And you know, our big, I call it the great, big, beautiful bill. It's the biggest bill ever passed in the history of Congress. And Scott and I and all of us, we sat down and we said, let's do it, along with the Speaker and John Thune and everybody, said, let's do it all in one bill. And a lot of people were they said, you'll never get it approved. And we didn't have a huge majority. We had a huge presidential win. We won everything. We won all 7 swing states. We won the popular vote by millions. We won everything. But the one thing, we won one, it's called districts. The country has districts. And we won in terms of districts, 2,750 to 550. And that's why when you see the map of the election, it's the whole country, it's all red. And it's pretty amazing. 2 little blue streaks on the right and on the left. And they're very little and getting smaller. But it's been pretty amazing. But in 4 long years, Joe Biden secured less than $1 trillion. In 9 short months, I've secured $18 trillion to rebuild our factories, create hundreds of thousands of jobs, and bring back those beautiful words, made in America. So
It is
think of
happening.
that.
He is
He
doing
did
it.
less than $1 trillion in 4 years. And in 9 months, we've done more than $18 trillion.
Chunk
Okay.
of change.
That's called success. And we think that by the end of the first year, it'll be over $20 trillion. So, and thank you very much. You helped with that little boost you gave us, that little increase. We appreciate it so much. We appreciate you. So it's just one example. Under the deals being signed this week, workers at GE Aerospace, I think he's here. Where is he? Stand up. What a job you've done with your new engines. And where are you? You're there. It's not a very good location for you. I thought you have been amazing. Great new engine that's supposed to be more efficient, more powerful, and less costly. That's not a bad combination. But GE Aerospace will soon be delivering dozens of new airplane engines for 787 Dreamliners in Saudi Arabia's commercial fleet. Big order. It was a big order just secured. Every new job and every new factory created by these announcements builds up our middle class and it really strengthens the industrial backbone of America. And, you know, I view it differently. I used to view it as it's great, great, great. The stock goes up. I view it, everything is jobs now because I don't care. I care about jobs. And we have more jobs. It was just announced. We have more jobs right now than we've ever had in the history of our country. Those are big numbers. You know, it's like crazy. It's just a great stat. More jobs today than we've ever had in the history of our country. And we're going to be producing a lot more are coming. In my first term, we built the greatest economy in the history of the world, and now we're do it again. But this is really bigger and better and stronger. The first term, we had what was considered the best economy that any president has ever had. That's nice. And we got hit with COVID, remember? And we did a great job with COVID, but that was a horrible thing for the whole world. The whole world suffered. Your country suffered. Everybody suffered. And despite that, we had the greatest economy. And before that, forget it. We blew it off the charts. I'll never forget, I met with pollsters the day before I got the news about COVID, but I met with 2 pollsters because we were starting to think about the next election. They said, sir, if George Washington and Abraham Lincoln came back from the dead and they aligned and they went for the president, vice president as a combination, you'd be beating them by 25 points. And then the next day I was told that something strange is happening. There's a lot of death being reported in a certain country. I won't tell you which one because that country is well represented here, but you know which one. And thousands and thousands of people are dying. And I said, that's strange. What would that be? And it turned out to be a disaster for the world. There's, you know, like nothing has been seen like that since 1917. I always thought that when I heard, you know, pandemic or anything you want to call it, but I always thought that was like an ancient phenomena, that could never happen in modern times, but it did. But we did a great job with all of the things that we did with the vaccines, with the so many of the drugs that we came up with, making you better. Regeneron is an example. Regeneron was fantastic. I give them great credit for what they did. But we did great, and then we started doing the gowns and the masks and the goggles and the ventilators. We were sending ventilators all over the world. We became the king of ventilators. But what a period of time that was for all of us. But despite that, we had the greatest economy in the history of our we had the greatest economy in the history of the world. And I'll tell you, it was an amazing time. But this looks like it's going to be blowing it away, because when these plants, which are being built now, and many are going to be started very shortly, many, but when they open, we're going to see numbers the likes of which nobody's ever seen before. And, you know, in some cases, you're building extremely complex plants. You're building plants to make computers and to make telephones, to make a lot of different things, missiles, but you're building plants that make things that are very, very detailed, and you have to have great knowledge. And you're coming here and you find if we don't have people that did that before, we are allowing you, and I may take a little heat. I always take a little heat from my people, the people that love me and the people that I love. They happen to be toward the right of center, toward the right. Sometimes they're way right. But if you have to bring people to get those plants opened, we want you to do that. And we want those people to teach our people how to make computer chips and how to make other things. You can't come in, and I'm explaining, you can't come in, open up a massive computer chip factory for billions and billions of dollars like is being done in Arizona and think you're going to hire people off an unemployment line to run it. They're going to have to bring thousands of people with them, and I'm going to welcome those people. Now, I love my conservative friends. I love MAGA, but this is MAGA. And those people are going to teach our people how to make computer chips. And in a short period of time, our people are going to be doing great. And those people can go home where they probably always want to be. You know, when people are born someplace, they tend to want to go, and we have the greatest country in the world, but they want to go. But they're going to do. We had one case in Georgia where a battery factory, batteries are very dangerous to make. They're complex, much more complex than people understand. And they spent $1 billion to build a factory. And they were told to get out. And I said, stop it. Don't be stupid. And we worked it out. And now they're teaching our people how to do it. But they're going to have to spend, Jensen, I don't think you can open up a big plant with your friend from Taiwan where we're going to have 40 or 50% of the computer chip business I don't think you can do that with people that don't even know what a chip looks like. Do you agree with that? So somehow, you know, the people that are against this are really, really smart. They're unbelievable patriots, but they just don't understand. Our people have to be taught. This is something they've never done. And we're not going to be successful if we don't allow people that invest billions of dollars in plant and equipment to bring a lot of their people from their country to get that plant open, operating, and working. I'm sorry. So my poll numbers just went down, but with smart people, they've gone way up. They've gone way up. And I mean that. So for those of you that are doing the plants, you're going to have all the help you need, and you're going to do a great job. And you're going to teach our people how to do it, and our people are going to be just as good as your people ever were in not such a long period of time. Since the election, the stock market has set, and this is a little more than 9 months, 46 all-time record highs. And the growth is now amazing, and it's lifting up the Americans and American economy like nobody's ever seen before. It's the biggest. There's never been a period of time like this. Wages for hourly workers are rising at the fastest pace in 60 years, and real wages for construction workers are up $2,200 a year, and that's good, and that's spending. They're going to spend. They're going to buy many of the things that you're making. In 9 months, we've lifted over 600,000 Americans off food stamps, and that's happening rapidly. You know, when we had the problem 2 weeks ago on the SNAP, and they talked about all of this, the numbers. So when I left, which was a rigged election, by the way, but that's okay. You know, they used to go crazy. I'd say rigged, nobody complains anymore because now they realize it was, and it's been proven, and it continues to be proven. But when I left, that number was $7 billion. Now it's $47 billion. That's Biden. So if you think about it, if Kamala, who's the same basic thing, grossly incompetent, he was incompetent, they're all incompetent because their policies are incompetent. Open borders, men playing in women's sports, transgender for everybody. I mean, they got the worst policy. I don't talk about it too much because if I talk about it, they might change.
How did we get on this subject? We're like a business
I don't
meeting.
talk about it. I tell people, don't talk about it. Wait till 2 weeks before the election and hit the hell out of them. Right? We talked about that, right, Elon? Said we wait 2 weeks before. It's almost like you're in a war. Don't shoot yet. Don't shoot. Hold your fire. The enemy's rushing. Hold your fire. Don't shoot. Okay, now you can go. 2 weeks before, but I watched a guy the other day, a congressman, fighting for men playing in women's sports. And the new weightlifting record for a certain weight was just set. The man was 119 pounds higher than a woman champion who was a phenomenal champion, beat her by 119, and he was an average lifter prior to transitioning. A lot of the Saudis are sitting here saying, what the hell is he talking about transition?
Exactly. They're like, what the fuck?
They don't do, Yasser, they don't do a lot of transitioning. They're sitting here, the Saudis are saying, what is he talking about? They're saying, what do you mean women are playing against men? No, that doesn't happen, does it? Yeah, it does. These people are crazy. 1.9 million more American-born workers are employed today. Think of that, than when I took office. So we picked up almost 2 million workers, and more Americans are now working, as I said, than at any time in the history of our country. Under Biden, 1 out of every 4 new jobs went to increase the size of the federal government. So in other words, 1 out of 4 was a federal worker. Well, I love our federal workers, but that's not the way you can build a country.
Makes one of us.
It's a short road to a disaster. Under my administration, 100%, think of that, of all new jobs created came out of the private sector. In fact, the federal government, we
We're at
cut
88.8.
thousands and hundreds of thousands of jobs out of the federal government. Now, if I wanted to do something for purely political reasons, I'd say, Susie, let's hire a couple of million federal workers. And you know what happened? Unemployment is unbelievable. We don't do that. They did that. They used to hire workers in order to fudge up the numbers. The federal workers. By the way, Susie Wiles, most powerful woman anywhere in the world by the biggest, most important magazine. Susie Wiles, she had her father, Pat Summerall, the great announcer, football. He was a great football player, became an even greater, the voice of the NFL, and he was supposed to be a tough cookie, and I believe it 100%. Most powerful woman in the world. She can take out a country, take out a country with one phone call. That's power. I don't know if I could do that, but she could. Thank you, Susie. Do you feel good about the job you're doing? Huh? She's never going to be satisfied. She's doing a great job. We're also making incredible strides to make America affordable again. That's a new word that they're using. Affordability, they talk. They had the worst inflation in history. They had the highest prices in history. The country was going to hell. The only thing that we're going up in is our stock market, okay? The only price that we really have, I mean, we're bringing prices down, but they came up with a new word, affordability. And they look at we are all about affordability. And everyone assumes that that meant that, no, their prices were high. If you look at the numbers, since I took office, core inflation is now below 2.7%. It was at numbers that nobody had ever seen before with them. Walmart just announced that the cost of their standard Thanksgiving meal is reduced by 25% this year from last year. So they make, look, the Democrats, I don't know, some of you are probably liberal Democrats. I don't know about in your country. I don't know if you know that word liberal. The word liberal doesn't exist. But they have a new word now. You can't use liberal. You have to use the word progressive. And I don't like using it. It's a beautiful word, progressive. Progressive, that's not them. They're regressive. No, they're regressive. Think of it. So if I don't get in, we have $20 trillion. Let's say she gets in. Instead of $20 trillion, you'd lose $10 trillion, and your welfare and other benefits would go up by 30%. Look at SNAP. Look at what happened there. From 7 million to 47. From 7 billion to 47 billion, it would be that. So we would lose business, countries and companies and people would flee our country. They would flee, and all of the other things would go up. In other words, would end up with a shell of a country, and I'm being nice when I use the word shell. This country would have been in big trouble, and I don't want to get him in trouble. But that gentleman right there, the most respected man in the room, that's today because we're here. Most respected man, I have to say that.
I'll get the habanero. This is how.
Don't worry. When I'm with other countries and the leaders sitting there, I say the same about them. Don't worry. Don't get carried away. No, the most respected, one of the great leaders, he told me when I was in his country, he said, and I use it all the time. Sometimes I refer to him because I have great respect for him. I figure it sells better. But he said exactly these words. He said, it's amazing what you've done. 1 year ago, your country was dead. And now you've got the hottest country in the world. You were the first one that said that. And I've used your name hundreds of times. I use your name, I say that King of Saudi Arabia said. But anyway, but it's true. We were a country that was in really bad trouble. We were a country that would have been dead, I believe, within a year or 2 years after the election. We were headed in a very bad direction. And now we're headed in the best direction, I think, that we've ever been headed. According to the USDA, Turkey is down, think of that, 33%. And I'm not talking about the country of Turkey. He's doing fine. Erdogan is doing good. Just want to, I don't want him calling me. I'm not down 33%. He's a friend of ours. We got to take care of our friends. Since March, egg prices are down 86%. Think of 86%. Many other prices are down in a similar number. When I first came into office, my first 3 days, I had a news conference.
Might be getting
and
a
they
bounce.
started screaming at me. Those people, it's a lot of people back there. Look at all the fake news. They started screaming at me, eggs, eggs. I didn't know anything about it. I said, what's going on with eggs? They're up quadruple. I said, I've only been here for 3 days. And we'll work on it. And we got them down very substantially. They said, don't buy eggs for Easter. At the White House, we have an Easter egg hunt. We buy thousands of eggs. And people come from all over, thousands. They asked me, sir, would it be possible this year to buy plastic eggs? I said, I'm not buying plastic eggs. The kids are going to pick up an egg. They're going to, what the hell kind of an egg is this? And we bought maximum number of regular eggs, and we got the prices. Brooke Rollins did a great job, Department of Agriculture. She did a fantastic job. And eggs are way down now. Mortgage rates are down despite the Fed. Scott, you got to work on this guy. He's got some real mental problems. No, he's something wrong with him.
Bro.
It's just sweet. I'd be honest. I'd love to fire his ass. He should be fired. Guy's grossly incompetent. And he should be sued for spending $4 billion to build a little building. I'm building a ballroom that's going to cost a tiny fraction of that, and it's bigger than the whole thing put together. You got to work on him, Scott. The only thing Scott's blowing it on is the Fed. Because the Fed, the rates are too high, Scott. And if you don't get it fixed fast, I'm going to fire your ass, okay?
I'm too late.
I can't tell you, Scott, sir, don't fire him. Sir, please don't fire him. He's got 3 months to go. Don't fire him. I want to get him out, Scott. Please. He's the voice of reason. You're very lucky you have him, I'll tell you that. Done a good job. I think Howard's a little bit more for firing him. Right, Howard? I think Howard would say, get him the hell out of there. Anyway, well, congressional Democrats wanted the largest tax hike in history. They wanted to raise your taxes by 42% of you, 44%. I proudly gave you the largest tax cuts in American history. Don't forget, the great big beautiful bill doesn't kick in until January 1st. So all these numbers that you're reading about, all these great numbers, that's without the tax cuts. The tax cuts take effect on January 1st, and that's no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security for our great seniors. Even people that go buy a car, they've never had this. Middle-income people don't know what the word deduction is. They don't know. This room, they live on deductions. Me too. How much of a deduction do I get? We all live on it. Middle-income people, they don't know about that. They don't really have deductions. We're giving them a deduction on the interest if they buy a nice Tesla car and they borrow the money. You're so lucky I'm with you, Elon. I'll tell you, has he ever thanked me properly?
He is so humble. I mean,
although I
it's
do let him
incredible.
buy other than electric cars, but these are minor details. We had a mandate which even Elon thought was ridiculous, that everybody has to have an electric car by 2030. And once, fortunately, he said, that's a ridiculous thing. So I keep quoting, but I'm giving them a deduction. Now, Elon would like to have it differently. A deduction only if you buy a Tesla, right? But we'll let it be for everybody. But think of it. You get a deduction on the loan, on your interest payment. I think that's going to be an unbelievable boon to car sales. I think it's one of the biggest things, and we'll see, but I think it's going to be. And the biggest thing I've done for business and jobs is deductibility, where all of that money that you're spending, 100%, think of it, expensing for all new equipment purchase, factory construction, including structure. Every single thing you're allowed to deduct expensing 1 year. And that's what made our first tax bill, in my opinion, more than anything else, bringing your money back in. We have that, we have everything. Trillions of dollars, hundreds of billions, but trillions of dollars. Apple alone, Tim Cook brought in hundreds of billions of dollars. You couldn't do it under the old tax code. You'd have to pay so much tax, and just the bureaucracy of it. We made it very simple. We charged a fair rate, and we took in billions. Well, we have that. But the expensing, to me, was the thing that made it so successful. And the other thing is all of those tax cuts that we got, that was the largest tax cut in history. On top of adding to those cuts, we extended the original tax cuts. If we didn't extend, you would have had about a 58% tax increase from that point. And we were able to get that extended. So I want to thank the Speaker of the House, and I want to thank John Thune. And a lot of people thought that bill, because we put everything into that one, we took 4 years worth of things and we put them into the great, big, beautiful bill. And we got it passed. It was close, like about a quarter of a vote. It was on fumes. We thought for a couple of moments we were not going to be able to get it. Then we would have had to have it in 9 or 12 or 14 different bills. And I don't think we would have gotten many of them approved. We would have gotten some easily approved, but some we would have gotten no votes on. By putting it all together, we got everything. And it was a great job. And I think someday it's going to be appreciated. But among other things, it's the biggest tax cut in history for people and for businesses. So just enjoy it and think of me every once in a while when you're hiring new people and making a lot of money. You just think about us. But I'm cutting a record number of job-killing regulations. That's the other thing. And I've already slashed more than $1 trillion worth of regulations this year. My last term, I gave the largest regulation cut in history, and now we're doing it again. In fact, for every new regulation, they're mandated to cut 10. And so far, it's for every new regulation, they've cut 30. So they have the idea. And very importantly, we stopped Joe Biden's radical crusade to kill oil and natural gas. Somehow, I don't think Saudi Arabia would like me too much if we decide to kill oil and natural gas. There's nothing like it. It works. Windmills don't work. Other things, I don't want to get into it too much, but they don't work. What does work is natural gas, oil, nuclear, and other things. But the windmills are a disaster.
Windmills are a total scam.
I am the biggest negative person on windmills. They ruin your locations. They ruin. When I look at some of these countrysides that are littered with windmills, and every time it goes around, you lose money. The country loses money. It's a disaster. And I just hope that some of these countries that are losing their ass, we have countries that are going bankrupt because they're putting windmills all over the place. You're supposed to make money with energy, not lose money with energy. And we talk about oil, and we talk even clean, beautiful coal. I said, you're not allowed to mention the word coal unless you precede it by saying clean, beautiful. So I have my people in the office, they're talking about coal, right? And they go, sir, a clean, beautiful coal is doing very well, sir. And then 2 minutes later, clean, beautiful coal. Then he mentions the third time, sir, coal. No, it's clean and beautiful because it needs a public relations help. Coal needs a little help public relations wise. So we refer to it as clean, beautiful coal, and it does have its place. That I can tell you. But we're streamlining permitting for all new energy projects, all new mining projects, and what used to take 28 days is now down to very little. But we had times when, not 28 days, we had times when things would take 14, 15, 16, and even 20 years to get approved. We have a maximum day, 28 days. That's the maximum it'll take. It'll never take more. You can come in with $1 trillion factory. You can come in with what it takes, a maximum of. You don't have to go years and years and years, be abused by bureaucracy. If you build a plant now, you're going to have your plant done within 28 days. And a lot of you are all, because I see everyone shaking their head, you're all agreeing. We're getting you approved by very smart people quickly. You know, when you used to walk in with plans done by the best engineers in the world, thousands of pages, and drop them on some guy who's been there for 28 years approving environmental impact statements, and he's looking at pages that he's never seen, and he's supposed to approve it. He has no idea what the hell is in those pages. So we know what we're doing. We're going to get maximum is 28 days. That's why we have so much under construction, and people can't believe it. They can't believe it. And again, remember what I said, most important thing, you're building your own electric plant. You're really becoming a utility in addition to doing what you're doing. But you're building all of the excess, all of that energy, all of that electricity is being built. And your excess electricity, you can sell back to the federal grid. So we even make it there. Under the deals being signed this week, the world's two leading energy superpowers, America and Saudi Arabia, are partnering on energy like we've never partnered before. American Saudi companies represented here today. How many? Are joining on liquefied natural gas, infrastructure, constructions, and making both of our energy sections. I mean, our sectors are becoming so strong. Just a quick story. In Louisiana, when I first time I got there were two massive LNG plants. One was under review for 14 years and was being rejected. The other one was for 18 years. The people of Louisiana, Doug, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And one was $20 billion, one was $24 billion, like the biggest things, like 3 Empire State Buildings lying on its side. It was massive. And I said, whatever happened with those plants? Well, sir, they're under review. How long has it been? 14 years and 17 years. And they had given up. Massive investments were being made by other countries and the richest people. They couldn't get them approved. I got myself involved. Right, Doug? The first one, I got approved in one day. The second one, I got a little cocky. I took my time. It took me 1 week. And they're both operating today, and they're tremendously successful. I got one, think of it. After 14 years, I was in office. I got involved. I got it done in 1 day. And it's been a tremendous success and made a lot of money for our country and for a lot of other people. And the other one took 1 week to get done. That one was under review, I think, for 14 or 15 years, both of them. So I'm very proud of that, actually. I also proudly ended the ridiculous Biden-era restrictions on artificial intelligence, and we will work closely with friends and partners like those in this room to build the largest, most powerful, most innovative AI ecosystem in the world. And we are going to work it so that you'll have a one approval process, not have to go through 50 states in the United States. You know, you can't go through 50 states. You have to get one approval. 50 states is a disaster because you'll have one woke state and you'll have to do all woke. You'll be back into the woke business. We don't have woke anymore in this country. It's virtually illegal. But you'll have a couple of wokesters, and we don't want to do that. We want to get the AI done, and I'm working with David. David's done a fantastic job. If he's here, I think he is. He is. Thank you. David's done a fantastic job. But we want one approval, one, and hopefully you have the right guy in the federal government. Hopefully you have the right president, but you have one approval, one approving body, not 50, not, you know, hundreds of people all over the country looking at what you're doing. And basically you're forced to take the worst and the most onerous, right, Jensen? Are you happy with that, Jensen? Thank you. If Jensen's happy, I'm happy. But what's very important, we have to do that. And we have a couple of very good, very well-meaning senators that think every state should have a right to approve. We're not going to do that because that will not allow you to do what we have to do. And we'll get that straightened out. Together, the United States and Saudi Arabia are unleashing really the most incredible new prosperity together. And we're also making history and forging peace. And I've settled 8 raging conflicts, 8 wars. I've settled 8 wars. I have 1 to go. You know what that one is. I thought that was going to be my easy one because I have a good relationship with President Putin, but I'm a little disappointed in President Putin right now. He knows that. I thought that was going to be the easy one. I settled 1 war, 36 years. I got it done in 1 day. I had another one, 32 years, millions of people killed. Even Congo and the Rwanda, they had 10 million people killed. It was out of control. I got that settled. I have a man's father who happens to be in this room doing a great job, right? Got that settled. I settled 8 wars. And I'll tell you, His Majesty would like me to do something very powerful having to do with Sudan. It was not on my my charts to be involved in that. I thought it was just something that was crazy and out of control. But I just see how important that is to you and to a lot of your friends in the room. Sudan, and we're going to start working in Sudan. I didn't think that that was one that was going to be
Talk about Dearborn, Michigan, Trump. How dare you?
so easy to do, but we're going to start working.
No, never.
Mohammed said, yeah, thank you.
Bring it up.
Thank you to you.
Bring it up.
No, it wasn't on my charts because I'm good at settling disputes, and I've always been. I've done very well with that over the years, even before this. But you know, I was talking about the different wars, and it's look, India, Pakistan, they were going to go at it, nuclear weapons. I said that's okay, you can go at it, but I'm putting a 350% tariff on each country. No more trade with the United States. No, you can't do that. I said I'm going to do it. Come back to me and I'll take it down. But I'm not going to have you guys shooting nuclear weapons at each other, killing millions of people, and having the nuclear dust floating over Los Angeles. I'm not going to do it. They said, we don't like that. I said, I don't care if you like it or not. So I was all set. I told Scott, 350% tariff to settle that war. If you don't, we'll make a nice trade deal. They were in the midst of a deal. Now, no other president would have done that. Another guy would have, like Joe Biden, doesn't even know what countries we're talking about. He wouldn't have any idea. There'd be no tariffs, no nothing. Just the whole world would go to hell. But no, I used tariffs to settle all these wars. Not all of them. 5 of the 8 were settled because of the economy, because of trade, because of tariffs. So I did this. But, and then I'll tell you what, the Prime Minister of Pakistan called me. Thank you very much. He actually said, I saved millions, and he said it in front of Susie. He said, President Trump saved millions and millions of lives. He doesn't even know that, but he saved millions of lives, and he talks about it. And I got a call from Prime Minister Modi saying, we're done. I said, you're done with what? We're not going to go to war. I said, thank you very much. Let's make a deal. But I saved a lot of people, millions of people on many other wars. Azerbaijan, you know what was happening there? I settled that. That was going on for many, many years. Actually, Putin called me. He said, I can't believe you got that one settled. We've been trying to settle that one for a long time. I said, don't worry about that. Just let me settle your frickin' war. Okay? You don't have to help me. I don't need any help. I need help with your war.
We literally,
and it'll get done. But working with the Crown Prince was amazing because he mentioned Sudan yesterday. And he said, sir, you're talking about a lot of wars, but there's a place on earth called Sudan. And it's horrible what's happening. And I viewed it as being just sort of a freelance, no government, no this, no that. And he explained the whole culture and the whole history. And it was very interesting to hear. Really amazing, actually, to hear. And, you know, we've already started working on that, okay? He said that would be the greatest thing you can do. That would be greater than what you've already done. That was your expression. Is that a correct expression? Pretty good.
Shaving a little bit of profits right now. Short.
We started about 30 minutes after you explained to us the great importance of that. I view it differently now than I did just a day ago. But we also, as you know, we had a historic ceasefire. We ended the war in Gaza. And 2 days ago, incredibly, the United Nations Security Council backed the Trump peace plan. And we have a great peace plan. We have peace in the Middle East. This is a strong peace too. They say, oh, it's tentative. It's not. This is a very strong peace. We have 59 countries signed on. And when there's problems, I'm getting calls from countries. They want to go in and lead the fight to solve the problem if we have any problems. But right now it's looking very good and endorsed. They endorsed the United Nations, what's called the Board of Peace, chaired by a person called Donald J. Trump. I accepted the chairmanship. They asked me to be chairman. That's what I needed. It's just a little more work, but it's a great honor. That'll be the greatest board ever assembled. When do you see this board? This board will blow every board away. And I believe we're going to be lucky enough to have the Crown Prince be a very distinguished member of the board. But we're going to have the heads of the Board of Peace. And I think it will go long beyond Gaza and the Middle East. I can see that going long beyond. There'll never be anything like this in terms of, I know you all have wonderful boards, but this is going to blow it away. It's going to blow them all away. And it's going to do some really good. So in the coming months, the Crown Prince and I are going to ensure that the ceasefire and everything else that's going on that's so positive in the Middle East, hard to believe. I mean, I've grown up, peace in the Middle East. I used to have peace in the Middle East.
Can you hear me, brother?
But never happened. We have peace in the Middle East. It's an amazing thing. Nobody thought, 3,000 years they talked. Nobody thought it would happen. In just 9 months, our administration has achieved more than most other administrations achieved in 8 years. And we're leading again in just every country. We want to win. We want to win for you. We want to win for ourselves. We want to help our allies. We want to change our enemies. We want to change our enemies. I'm being nice when I say it that way, but we want to change them. And if they don't change, we're going to be nasty. But hopefully we're not going to have to be nasty. But we want the world to prosper. We want the world to be safe. Our alliances are flourishing like they haven't before. And, you know, they're respecting America.
Kelly, pull
again.
up the chart
They didn't
for me.
respect
It's
us.
been a
We were like
bloodbath.
a bunch of stupid people. We had a president that couldn't get up and talk, couldn't walk up a flight of stairs. We had people that didn't know what the hell they were doing. We were an embarrassment all over the world. But now we have people that are respected at levels that we've never seen before. So I just want to tell you that this is a group that I respect. I read every single name of every single person sitting in each and every seat. And I either know you or I know of you. This is an amazing group of people. And it really is headed by that gentleman sitting right smack center with 2 seats in between him. He wants plenty of room. And he's going to be the king of Saudi Arabia right now. He's the most distinguished gentleman. He's my friend. And thank you very much for what you've done for us. And we will always be with you. Thank you, Mohammed. I appreciate it. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Wow.
So,
Jesus Christ Almighty.
so what did I miss?
I mean, this short is absolutely slapping. Let's pull it up. I mean, I was kind of annoyed. I was locked into that freaking that screen share style that I was in. Let's share this and check out what the trade's looking like. I shaved a little bit of profit off it. This is Aave. This is one of the trade calls. There's actually a lot of
Dude, our
calls
quant
that
is
hit.
killing it, man.
Yeah,
The
I am
quant is
so
killing it.
excited about this. It's just like printing money, you know. And this is it is a sigh of relief for me to see cheaper assets that I like and earning Tether down the hill we go. You know, there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of uncertainty. Really, what we're gonna do is get ready. I think me and Kelly are probably, I don't know. I mean, should we go over all the stuff we had? I mean, we've been going live for hours now. Trump
How about
just came
this?
out.
Let's
What's
do
that?
this. Let's not exhaust people. Let's
Yeah.
give people a little bit of a free afternoon. Let's do pick 3 or 4 of your tabs you want to cover, and I'll cover 3 or 4 tabs and we'll close it.
Sure. So we got a little hope. Jim Cramer came out and said that the cabal is trying to keep Bitcoin price above $90,000. Well, Jim, it looks like the cabal failed because we are now sitting at
40.
89,000 $400. As Trump spoke, we dropped to a low of $88,800. And if you guys want a sigh of relief, I figured out how to fix this whole chart again. I just, for everyone out there that's just feeling unsure, just go like this and right click and just invert this bad boy. Okay. Things look a lot better when you invert it. And our brains are trained to look up and to the right. This is how I'm approaching this market. Take a breath. Okay. Because now we can offer 50-year mortgages, right? This is the chaos of the world that we live in right now. And I'm almost tempted to take advantage of the 50-year mortgage and Tau Ventures partnering up with Chainlink. So my recipe is pretty simple right now. We took our risk plays. I hold the bag of Linnea and Canton, but ETH, Bitcoin, Chainlink, that's what I want. Kelly, what are you looking at primarily for today? I mean, we had NVIDIA earnings as well. But what are you seeing out there that you want to cover here, brother?
Well, the number one thing I want to cover is this right here. Let me pull it up. There we go. Not the seven-headed hydra, but this, as boring as this chart is, I made mention of it yesterday regarding what's going on with the TGA, the Treasury General Account. What does this mean? We're talking about this massive amount of funding. It's almost $1 trillion that's in the Treasury General Account right now that they haven't rolled off at all. The reverse repo market, meaning what they're doing to basically do these little buybacks from the liquidity market, is basically, I don't want to say near zero, but it's near an absolute bottom. It's very, very low. And the Treasury General Account is very high. And Jordan Lindsay said, is the Treasury deliberately keeping the TGA elevated to pressure the Fed towards outright easing? And we are seeing that cut is kind of, now it's dropped again. Man, this changed from 2 hours ago. This was the 20. Man, we're getting the ping pong. But what the point here is, we have the TGA that is starting to roll over a little bit. It's down about $30 billion, but there's a long way further down for this to go. I think we have some patience here in the market that we need to pay attention to, and that is that the price is, basically coming on right now to 1 full year, 363 days. The price has been ranging with the deviation below and above, and we're right here on the fastest. I didn't really notice this the other day. The fastest decline from a high. This is the sharpest decline. I mean, even with what we saw here, yes, that came down low, but that was 80 something days. This is at about 40. So a lot.
That's a good note. I have not heard a single other analyst call this out. So you're saying that the velocity of the crash we just went through was the heaviest velocity of downturn that we've seen in how long would you say?
Well, I mean, this entire cycle. It hadn't happened this fast. Okay. This entire cycle, which when I see something like this, and again, I don't want to just be the Super Bowl all the freaking time, but when I see this, at some point, there's got to be a bounce at some point out of here. And we see this, where is that chart I just had? Right here. When you look at this from, let me zoom out on that. This is from CryptoQuant. Volatility may persist, but the cleansing of weak hands, and you have to ask yourself, are you a tourist? Do you need to de-risk? That's fine if you're a little too overexposed, but you have to ask yourself what you want in this market, because the cleansing of weak hands is well underway. And historically, that process has marked the later stages of a correction, not the beginning. And so we've seen this in the previous couple times we dipped below this realized, basically short-term holder realized the MVRV here, all marked great times to buy. And so if this is an extended cycle, I think we're going to crab under this like we did back here on this move down. Crab under this, likely really frustrate people probably through January, and then have that large move to the upside. But I think it is appropriate to be bearish here. And yes, I'm not giving up on my bullishness, but I think it's appropriate to be bearish here because of the signals we're seeing. Be bearish in the near term between now and next week, and maybe even early December. The earliest I would really start to potentially on a time frame get bullish is be looking to what happens around December 10th, and then following December 10th, how does that change the interaction of the repo market? Are they going to the Fed, are they going to start expanding their balance sheet, meaning printing money to buy off the market? That's a form of money printing. And then also the Treasury General Account. But right now, for those that are short-term volatility, emotionally engaged, I think it's right now, it's sit in your hands or exit some positions. I've consolidated a little bit. But I'm still bullish on 2026.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, what we just watched was massive deals being signed between the United States and Saudi Arabia. We see a alliance being built up outside of the traditional NATO countries, which is a big freaking deal for sure. And there is a bit of a power struggle going on in the Middle East between, obviously, the country. All right, we'll just go over this a little bit just so people can get some context. This is from Simon Dixon. A $1 trillion investment will drive data centers out of the United States, maintain American national security, and weaken the dollar as we can't stop the rise of the Middle East via our proxy Israel anymore. Create jobs for robots to replace humans and support American needs while still selling our key strategic assets to the Gulf countries whose money comes from China because the global financial industrial complex wants to profit from the world that is no longer dominated by the United States. This is the rise of the Middle East in competition, the production of these things, and we have to find our general control abilities within the rise of Saudi Arabia. He mentioned that peace has come upon the Middle East. Honestly, that is not the reality. There is still conflict there. And
remember, no matter what, we're living in a dog and pony show.
It is.
But both sides are lying to you. You got to figure out what you're going to do. And the best way you can do that is fight the system by investing for yourself.
Absolutely, man. So thanks for joining me on the show, Kelly. We're going to get after it here and just have a nice, relaxing day. Okay. I'm probably going to go kill these shorts. Huge shout out. If you're interested in trading, get in our Discord. We just got this new quant and I didn't even have to think about it. Got all the trade setups, went in there, printed 50% there, 40% over here. I'm surrounded by new Tether. So I'm going to go figure out what to do with it. But I love and appreciate every single one of you out in the Discover Investments group, the Discover Crypto family. You guys, stay calm, okay? It's a turbulent time in the world. You must remain based and analyze what you're investing into. Does it have longevity? And do you think that the alts in your portfolio can survive into the next few years here? That's what you got to be thinking about. I love you guys, and we will see you very, very soon.
We just wanted to take a quick second to shout out our sponsor, Arculus. They are a cold storage hardware wallet, helps you secure all of your digital assets for the future. Just tap this thing to the back of your phone and boom, you're in. We wouldn't be able to do this without them, but also wouldn't be able to do this without you guys, the Disco fam. You've supported us a lot over the years. If you want to support the channel now, just use the code DC20. It gets you 20% off this card. It's the #1 way you can support this channel going forward. Thank you for your support. We'll see you at the top.